Hello, everybody. We are back. Hopefully, technical problem free. JV Wins Dogon SS. We are here for a new stream with a couple of new features to play around with, such as we'll see how well those play out as we try to incorporate those into the stream. But yeah, we're back, man. Another edition of Conscious Approach on YouTube. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. Hit that like button, leave a comment, be constructive, don't be a troll. Check us out on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. If you want to be able to listen to us audio style. And as I always like to say, man, we thank everybody out there for subscribing to the channel, because it's an indication that you're getting value out of the content. It takes a step, a commitment, kind of, sort of, if you think about it, to actually subscribe to the channel. It's indicative of your perception of value. I don't subscribe to a whole lot of stuff, even stuff that I consume on a regular basis. So for me to take the step to actually click that button actually means something. So us over here on this side, we really don't take that for granted. And I do always like to kind of put that out there into the universe at the start of every stream, because I think it's important to let folks know, regardless of how big or small in the grand scheme of things this channel may be, we will always appreciate the value of your attention currency, because it is indeed valuable. It does mean something. So with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and get things kicked off, man. We got a lot of fun things to kick around the campfire tonight.
And one more thing, as we're kicking around, just a heads up. So it did create a second stream for the small.
Oh, okay, cool. So that my suspicion was correct. So it creates two, one vertical and one horizontal.
Yeah, so we're multi-streaming, even though I'm cut off on the smaller one. So I might have to get in frame. For there I am. So yeah, you may continue, sir.
Hey man, we use StreamYard to do these live streams, folks, and their StreamYard is trying to really elevate their platform. They're adding all new kinds of bells and whistles and tools and user interfaces and different things that create a bit of a growing pain for somebody who's been used to using it in one particular way for a while. But you got to learn to adapt and roll with the times, right? So we will do that here. But yeah, with that out of the way, man, we'll go ahead and get things kicked off. The first thing that we're going to talk about is Dogon's boy, Pusha T.
Not really, bro. Let's be serious here.
Man, a friend of the channel, man, one of Dogon's boys, Pusha T. Pusha T is taking a bit of internet flack for a post that he put out acknowledging his wife for being pregnant with their second child. Pusha T basically said, I want to thank my wife for not making me have to change a diaper or prepare a meal or do any of that other stuff. I can't wait to meet our new son in spring 2026. And the internet was not all too pleased with that. They felt as though it was a sign of Pusha T's dereliction of duty when it comes to being a parent. And there's like deadbeat tags being thrown at him all across the internet as a result. And of course, he's commented in a very dismissive, sarcastic, tongue-in-cheek kind of way. But I think it's interesting that, him doing this sparked a strong reaction from the interwebs. So this says Pusha T responds to deadbeat backlash for his parenting comments. Given the massive and discourse-fueling rollout for the Comeback Clips record, Let God Sort Him Out, Pusha T has already gotten some criticism this year, but he's let it all roll off his shoulder, something he's seemingly doing when it comes to his recent parenting controversy. For those unaware, the Virginia MC and his wife, Virginia Williams, are expecting their second child. In his post on the matter, he irked many fans by seemingly joking about neglecting daddy duties. At Baby Jenny, thank you for my second baby boy. I hope you carry on with tradition and never teach me how to change a diaper, prep a meal, suck out a snotty nose, or anything else a supermom does. You make things very easy for me, and I love and appreciate you for it all. See you spring 2026, my boy. Now he has responded to the ensuing drama on Twitter The Thornton brother left a slew of crying, laughing face emojis under the following tweet. In words is calling Pusha T a deadbeat because he doesn't like changing diapers. That tweet included a clip of Christoph Waltz's character in Inglourious Bastards laughing uncontrollably. Many fans responded to this response with nonetheless critical perspectives, whether it was folks taking this seriously or Drake fans going at him for many reasons. Speaking of which, Drake liked the post criticizing Pusha T's relationship, specifically the age gap between him and his wife, Virginia. They met at a Hell Hath No Fury release party when he was 29 and she was 19. They dated for 11 years before getting married in 2018. Drizzy has referenced their engagement on the Duppy Freestyle diss track, which led to the story of Added On. In fact, that diss track's scathing commentary on family business is what makes this current controversy so notable. Nevertheless, Pusha and Virginia welcomed their first son, Nigel, which is also my brother's name, in 2020, who's about to become a big brother to their second son due next spring. We will see if he has more we will see if he has a more fleshed out response to this drama or if he doesn't engage. After all, it's probably a harmless inside joke from Pusha's perspective, but many disagree. All right, man. So what do you think about folks feeling some type of way about that post that he put out there about not engaging with any of these activities because he's married to a super mom who's going to do it all? They feel as though that is showing signs of him being a deadbeat in some kind of way, apparently.
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I like to look at relationships as an organization, as a team situation. I generally like to speak in the context of winning championships or winning games or whatever. And you want to be able to have a good locker room. You want to be able to have a good culture for your team. And what's best for one team may not be best for the next. For instance, so let's say changing diapers is, for football related, it's special teams. Kickoffs, punts, you name it. It's an aspect of the game. It's a big aspect of the game. It's one of the thirds of the game to make sure that you're covering. All right. But at the same time, you may not want a particular person who's a star athlete, either on offense or defense, playing on special teams because even though they're a star, they're not suited for punt return, for instance. Okay. So you'll see somebody like Justin Jefferson who can catch anything thrown in his vicinity, unless JJ McCarthy is throwing him the ball. All right. It's still a situation where you may not want him fielding punts because he's not used to, people flying at him 100 miles an hour while he has to call for a fair catch and gauge everything else around him. So personnel wise, it would be best to not have Justin Jefferson in this example fielding punts. All right. So on the contrary, another team may put their star athlete out there. All right. So, Jamar Chase, if he's not spitting on people. All right. And just have him out there fielding it, and he might take it to the house. And people saying, why don't the Vikings put Justin Jefferson out there? It's a difference. All right. They're running their organization like this over here, and they're running their organization like that over there. All right. At the end of the day, does it equals W's? All right, is the question. And in their household, all right, Pusha is not changing diapers. You probably don't want Pusha changing diapers. All right. He's probably good for a good 16, but he probably can't strap on a diaper the right way. You know what I'm saying? You'll see the baby walking around the house and the diaper's on backwards. The baby wipe still sticking out the back. And it's like, push, bro. Like, come on, bro. You can cook up pies, but you can't change a diaper. And so it's a situation where if he's the guy that's really out there breadwinning, all right, taking on the likes of Drake and super rap battles and other things that he's got going on. All right. Don't forget. All right. He's probably somewhere selling a brick. He doesn't have time. He doesn't have time to turn around and change diapers. All right. So in their household, it looks like Push is the certified breadwinner. All right. He's the person that goes out there, slays the lion, slays the gazelle, slays the saber-toothed tiger, brings it back home for his wife to cook and do her thing. That's her domain, the house. So if that's how their relationship works, if that's how their organization is run, who am I to critique him if he feels like he's winning championships at home? So much so to tweet out to the world or whatever out to the world that she is holding down her part of the agreement. So I'm not here to say that Push is a deadbeat. I will call him deadbeat in the other context. All right. But in this context, no, I don't think he's in the wrong. I think everybody has the right to run the organization however they want to, so long as they're being successful. And from the sounds of it, it sounds like he's got a successful organization per his words. But what are your thoughts, man, on Pusha T getting called a deadbeat in these streets because he ain't changing no damn diapers? What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, I largely agree with you. I think this is a lot of internet fake outrage BS. I'm not buying it either. First of all, I would imagine that anyone who has an issue with what he said there, likely themselves isn't married. And that's kind of my number one rule when it comes to like commenting on other people's marriages. I kind of feel like you're completely out of place as an unmarried person to comment on what makes another marriage work. You're not married yourself. I don't think unmarried people have any business commenting on the business of married people, personally. That's my opinion. Furthermore, what would people rather him say? Like, if he would have said, I can't wait for you to have our son so that I can change every diaper and cook every meal and be a house dad, because I love the fact that you don't make me have to go to work and make money because you do all that yourself. Like, is he going to get applause for that? No, they'll probably they probably won't give him applause for that. He'll probably be a beta. They'll call him a beta or blue pilled or any of these other derogatory terms towards men that are used to suggest a man's diminutive stature in relation to his woman in his marriage or relationship. So even if he were to flip it, hypothetically speaking, and suggest that what she's doing is from a role standpoint counterintuitive to what is traditional, he'd still get flack for doing that as well, which takes me to my central belief at this point, which is that for a lot of people in the world who don't know what it means to be a part of a successful relationship or marriage, they don't understand the importance of roles. Roles have to be occupied. Without roles, it cannot function. You brought up the analogy of sports, and I think sports is very analogous. On a football team, if there is no quarterback, the team can't function. Like, you can have all the linebackers in the world, you can have all of the receivers, running backs, you can have people on special team, you can have punt returners, kick returners, you can have defensive backs. If you don't have a quarterback, team can't function. Someone needs to occupy that role. Furthermore, you need someone to whom that role is best suited given their skill set.
Agreed.
That is the best way for any team to function, including a marriage or relationship. Now, as you put it, one marriage / relationship might differ from the other, just like one football team or basketball team in terms of how it's run may differ from the other, and it's largely contingent upon its personnel. But so long as there's winning involved, so long as they're in contention, so long as we're competing for championships every year and we're making deep playoff runs, why does it matter whether the way you would put a positionless center on the court is different than the way this team would rather have defined positions with a center who's back to the basket blocking shots all the time? What difference does it make?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Both of y'all are competing. But people, for whatever reason, and we can speculate on the reasons as to why, they believe roles represent by default an inherent constraint. That's part of the reason why the state of marriage and relationships are in such disarray. It isn't that Well, it is in part because what he was doing was in a roundabout way espousing um, an appreciation within the context of traditional gender roles, which a lot of people, of course, have a problem with. So that's it's already an issue in and of itself that what he was doing was saying, I'm out here making the money and maintaining the livelihood and keeping the lights on, and you're changing the diapers and prepping the meals. Because that's akin to traditionalism, and traditionalism has been conflated with everything bad, that's already a problem in and of itself. But even beyond that, there's an acknowledgement of roles taking place with this kind of communication.
Mm-hmm.
And people just don't like it. They
Mm-hmm.
think it's an inherent constraint. People want to approach their relationships and marriages the same way that they want to approach everything else in their life, which is let me do what I want when I want.
Yep.
Don't give me structure because you're trying to hold me back.
Yeah.
Don't have I
Don't do
don't want to
that.
have I don't want to have I don't want to have to abide by rules, even though that's what's best in terms of governing good behavior. I want to be able to do whatever I want. And that's what people's mentality when it comes to marriage is too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to occupy roles. Why don't we both change diapers? Why don't we both cook? Why don't we both work? Why don't we just have a free for all where everybody does whatever they want whenever?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not going to lead to W's. That's why.
Yeah.
There need to be clearly defined roles. You have to occupy the positions in which you're best suited given your skill set. And if for them he's doing whatever he does and she's not, you know, basically holding a proverbial gun to his head, saying you need to change diapers with me and prep meals with me. That's what works for them. What is it to you to comment on it?
Right.
But that's what's people believe that it's an inherent constraint. Rules, structure, roles, anything that's supposed to govern behavior in any kind of way. People just don't want to deal with that. They've conflated it with a foot around a foot on their neck. You're holding me back. Don't institute rules and structure. I want to be able to do whatever I want. I want to be able to have the baby and go right back to work immediately and put a nanny in here.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to go back to work because you're actually the one who's making the most money, then now we have a standoff because I'm doing it whether you like it or not,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's a role best suited for me in order to be the primary caregiver and be at home. So, I'm not buying it either. I think it's internet hysteria and BS. And if I were to speculate, I would imagine the majority of the people who have an issue with what he had to say themselves aren't married anyway. So I really don't think their opinions hold any weight.
Yeah. Well said, bro. Yeah. And it's to speak on roles and, people just not wanting to play their role. People grow up in their own kind of ways, for better or for worse, and they develop traits about themselves that creates a role for them. So for instance, there's some dudes out there, because of how they were raised, uh they're best suited for being a house husband. That's no shade. That's just where you at, bro. And so if he's suited for that, then he needs to be with a woman who is suited to be uh the breadwinner person. So, they have to fit like a glove, pretty much. All right. And so if they're both in a context where they both want to be house people, they're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And to speak on your earlier point, if they're both in a position where they both want to be independent breadwinners, you've got an issue. Or you're going to run into that Travis Kelce situation that we had talked about. Not Travis Kelce, Jason Kelce situation, where basically, because the mama wanted to get back out there in the field and do stuff and podcast. All right. So, they had to hire nannies, so then you have to outsource care, outsource primary caregiver, which me personally, I'm not a fan of. I don't know what that does to a young person. I'm pretty sure there's there's tons of people who had nannies and stuff like that or whatever, and they turned out just fine. But at the same time, I don't know what's being missed by having biological mom and dad being there helping you take your first steps, and not the lady you hired for X amount of dollars per hour. So I think that it is best for individuals to know who they are so they can then play their role. Because this world is what it is at this point, and there's been so much blending of roles over the years. People actually grow up in the opposite field. And so if you're a man and you grew up in the more traditional feminine one, then yeah, bro, you might need yourself a non-traditional woman in order to make that work. So now if you're a jack of all trades kind of a person and you can wear many hats and there's nothing stopping you from being breadwinner and changing diapers, kudos to you. Good luck. You might get burnt out.
Yeah.
At some point, you're going to have to rely on your teammates in order to get the job done. That's literally doing a group project all by yourself all the time. And the group project is created in a sense that this requires more than one brain to think about it. Yeah, you can handle it all by yourself, but do you have the stamina to do this for 18 years plus? I would argue no. So you're going to need a good teammate in order to help you out. So it sounds like Pusha has a good teammate. It sounds like these people that are upset about it are mad about their own lives.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm sorry, y'all. I'm going to have to also bucket fake outrage, yet selective, because I can't go for this. I think that Push has also acquired internet what's the word I want? Infamy. People like myself who aren't necessarily fans of him. I'm pretty sure a lot of these people are Drake stans as well, that are just looking for an opportunity to pick holes in the guy.
He's polarizing.
He is polarizing. Good word. And so by him just saying something like this of, patting his old lady on the back for saying, thanks for being super mom, which I know his kids appreciate and all this other stuff. So what is it to the internet? But the internet is going to take this because he's so polarizing to try to demonize him. But again, I got more stuff to demonize him on than this. This actually sounds like somebody who's actually trying to take care of their family. So not buying it, not going for it. Kudos to him for having a sound household and actual roles defined. So no shade here.
Yeah, to whatever degree he is receiving flack for those kinds of comments, I would imagine there's a decent enough percentage of people who feel some type of way because he was espousing a type of mindset that is correlated with traditionalism.
Toxic.
Which is inherently toxic, masculine, patriarchal, all the things that are now inherently bad, right?
Disgusting.
Yeah. And I do believe to a certain extent, if he had said, I can't wait until you have the baby so that I can be at home changing diapers and making food so that you can get back out here and make this money for the family, I think there would have been some applause because that is counter traditional and people just want to upend everything for no reason. So I do think that there's a segment of the detractors who would have appreciated it if he would have said something like that. But I also think beyond that, the vast majority of the backlash would have not been in existence if he would have said something more role neutral. The fact that he was making comments that are role defining is where he slipped up in terms of internet troll world. Because people just people believe roles are an inherent constraint. Roles have been conflated with unnecessary guardrails, ultimate free will in any context, marriage, relationships, jobs, professionalism, educate. It doesn't matter what the context is. The less rules, the better. because what everyone wants to be able to do is whatever, whenever. And and you can't have in my opinion, you can't have a functional society with people running around doing whatever they want at any point. And I don't think a marriage or a relationship is functional in which it's devoid of roles and the participants are running around doing whatever they want. But what people have been conditioned to believe is that rules and guardrails and structure by default inhibit your potential and inhibit you from being able to maximize on all the various ways that you can contribute to society and do everything else that you want to do in life. Make money, um, you know, um, condition yourself physically and emotionally and spiritually. All these various anecdotal things that we talk about, structure is an inherent inhibition towards those things. Mm-hmm. And so that's the sentiment that's being spoken out towards whenever you have people who get upset or triggered because a guy is lamenting the role that his wife is occupying within the context of their own marriage. Mm-hmm. He ain't telling you what to do with your marriage.
Exactly.
He ain't telling you what to do with your relationship. He ain't telling you what to do with your woman. He ain't telling you what to do with your man, your husband, your wife. That's his prerogative because that's what works for them. And nevertheless, people still feel inclined to comment on it. It's insane. But I'm with Pusha T on this. And I think people who have an issue with those kinds of comments, quite frankly, can kick rocks.
Yeah, hey, 1000%, bro. Yeah, man, that's my take on it as well, man. So, as far as the roles thing goes, man, like I'm with you as far as people, part of the social deconstruction is that people don't have roles. But it's hard if you're a man out here to be playing around with I'm not a man, you can play around with that if you want. You're gonna get your behind kicked. So, men really don't necessarily have that flexibility to be like, I'm not going to be a man. You can do that. As I mentioned earlier, like you can do that and do stuff that's, traditional female, but, I don't know how that works long term. I don't know how that works when you walk out of the door, from the safety of your home where you and your old lady had that understanding, but you have to interact with the rest of the world that just sees you as a man. Like, you got to be a man out here. And so men really don't have the position to have that flexibility to just throw roles to the wayside, man. Like, you're going to get your behind kicked. So, and I guess women as well, man, because the women out here that are fighting against being a woman, I think they also have their issues as well. So I think the moral of it all is that, yeah, I think traditionally, it became tradition because because people like to look at people back in the day as primitive. They didn't have things figured out. They didn't know what was going on, but they lived life. It was so many generations after so many generations of, hey, you know what? I think it's best if the men did this. I think it's the best if the women did that. It just made sense. It was 1 + 1 = 2. And so yeah, I'm not against traditions. I'm not against roles, and it doesn't sound like Pusha is either. So yeah, I'm with you on this one, man. I'm not buying the internet outrage. So one of the rare occasions I will side with Pusha T. Don't get used to this, bro. All right. Pulling up stuff that I'm going to agree with him with.
Yes, that's one of my joys doing this. One of my joys doing this is putting you in the position to have to begrudgingly agree with people that you actually really don't care too much for.
I don't care for this man.
Yeah, Dogon agreeing with Pusha T. That is calls for this right here.
Yeah, there you go. Good use of it, sir. Good.
Yeah, man, shouts out to Pusha T and his family.
Yes.
You can say whatever you want about his music or his content or his influence on the culture, but can't be anti-family. Hard to do that. And like you said, it sounds like they got something that works and it's functional, and so leave them be. Who are you to have an opinion on it?
Yep.
We move on to Mike Epps. Mike Epps, I'm not sure if we've touched on a story involving Mike Epps previously on the channel. I certainly can attest that he has not graduated to friend of the channel status, but this might be his first step towards being able to earn that particular distinction. So Mike Epps was recently on the Breakfast Club, and he expressed how he was glad that there were cuts with the SNAP food grant programs and all of that in lieu of the government shutdown. He was talking about how he was glad that that happened because um, these entitlement programs don't exactly lead to healthy habits for many of us in our community, and we're best suited if we have less of them available to us. I thought that these were interesting comments. So this says Mike Epps says he's actually glad food stamps were cut. Mike Epps has said he's glad there's been a pause on food stamps, and he's taken some time to explain why. During a recent appearance on The Breakfast Club, the 54-year-old comedian argued that government aid might be quietly harming the very people they're meant to help. I told people when these food stamps and stuff get cut off, don't worry about that. See, black people, we've been getting our stuff cut off. We've been getting our doors kicked in and stuff. This is not for us. So don't take this as personal about the food stamps and all that. I'm actually glad they're cutting some of these N words off food stamps because some of us need to not be on food stamps because it's a trickle down effect. Epps argued that the issue wasn't just about losing benefits, but about how reliance on them can fuel unhealthy habits. You get the food stamps, then you go buy the food that gives you cancer, then you eat the food that gives you cancer, and then you're sad, you're walking around here upset, your diet's effed up. Now, I'm going to tell you some honest God truth. Your diet done sent a lot of N words to prison. When Charlemagne the God joked about Epps' comments would end up on when Charlemagne the God joked that Epps' comments would end up on Fox News and lead to people calling him MAGA Mike, Epps brushed it off. No, they can't say that about me. See, that's one thing about me and Lil Boosie Badass. We can't be canceled. As Charlemagne laughed and predicted future backlash, Epps shot back saying, F the internet. And everybody out there that think they want to be mad and say something, F you, man. The interview aired amid national news about the federal government restoring supplemental nutrition assistance program benefits following the end of the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. According to CBS News, President Trump signed a bill on Wednesday, which was November 12th, to fund SNAP through September 2026, reinstating aid for nearly 42 million Americans. States that were told benefits would resume within 24 hours after the shutdown ended, though the timing was expected to vary. So I'm not going to sift through the video because they didn't cut that particular clip of him saying that, and I'm not trying to find the whole interview. But be that as it may, Mike Epps making some interesting comments about food stamps and the unhealthy habits that come along with having access to some of these various government-funded programs, which are paid for, of course, by the way, by you and I and everybody else who pays taxes around here. So, yeah, what did you think of what Mike Epps had to say there?
I agree, man. I agree with the statement. MAGA Dogon, right? Nah, man, I agree, bro. Like, it. Let me start. Let me start with this. So, Mike Epps, his brand, okay, his brand is the trenches, okay. His brand is having people that are on government assistance attending his shows. They probably use some of their cash relief, okay, to buy some of his tickets. I'm sure that has happened in the scope of his career.
Yeah.
So Mike Epps, he's speaking from a situation where, although he has been on for a while now, I think he's in tune with people who live that lifestyle. And I think he has seen either in his own personal life, people attending the shows, or just that whole vibe of being in that energy set, that people that are accepting these assistants rely on them too heavily. I've met people who were generational users. You know, their grandma was on them, their mama was on them. Now they're on them with their kids. Um, and the wonky part about it is, in order to qualify for these things, you have to qualify for them, either with income or the way you're living. You know, situations like that. You know, being a single mom or whatever. Like, you have to qualify for these things. And myself personally, when I used to, because I had some when I was in college, and man, I couldn't wait for them things to drop. But then I found myself in this situation of, because I did have a part-time job, so I was a part-time worker, part-time student, you know, and then getting food stamps. And I found myself in this situation whenever I had to report the renew or whatever. Should I work more hours to make more money? But if I work more hours to make more money, I'm going to get less food. But the catch was, even if I worked more hours, it wasn't going to be enough to pay for rent and food. So I had to not work as many hours so I can qualify for stamps. I had to play this game every cycle. And so for people that are on these, you know, assistance type of things, especially the generational ones, they have this fixed mindset of, well, I can't do that, I won't qualify for this. Or I can't go do this, I won't qualify for that. And it creates a ceiling for a lot of these people, which creates the generational roll on and stuff like that. Now, if there was people that was using it to just supplement their life, like me, and I'm sure millions of others people, all right, who just use it, get off of it when they don't need it anymore, you know, that's one thing. But the issue about this is the systemic use of it, and the way that it again creates that ceiling of mentality as a person. And to also speak on his point of, you know, the types of food that people choose to buy. If you got stamps, you can buy some pretty good stuff, but you know, some people choose to not buy the best types of things.
Well, I would say that there's a correlation between the person who's on that and, you
The
know,
food
the
choices
like.
they make.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think there's a correlation there.
I would say so as well. And also, if people want to get into because there's research and stuff out there where, you know, food deserts and other things in some of these areas. So, but to speak on that point, where he's saying that the food that people are eating is getting them cancers, making them depressed, and amongst other things, it's like, yeah, man, you know, you're eating these cocktails of chemicals, and that doesn't help the mentality of a person that's trying to either get out of that circumstance or whatever. So it is a perpetual cycle that feeds on itself, no pun intended. So if a lot of these people had some of this stuff removed, they would be forced to get on the good foot and you know, go get it another way. But unfortunately, I know there's a lot of other people that are been generational users that would not get on the good foot, okay, and do other things. Because I saw videos online of people literally, you know, saying that they're going to start robbing people. You know, not actual people yet. They were talking about the grocery stores. Like, you're not going to stop me from walking out the store and feeding my baby. Like, those people actually posting that online. So, overall, I think there needs to be a mentality shift. Mike saying this is not popular. All right, this is not going to go over well with his fan base and the internet. But I think that as a community, you know, we need to look at alternatives on getting ourselves out of these situations that we claim that we don't like being in anymore. And one of those things is relying on the same system that you claim that oppresses you to feed you. But what are your thoughts, man, on Mike Epps saying that he was glad that government assistance got cut off? Maybe people will get on the good foot. What are your thoughts, man?
It's not a popular opinion, and understandably so, because underprivileged people need to be able to feed themselves and their families. So I
Agreed.
get that. And so what are you supposed to do? People who can't afford to comfortably buy food, especially with the rising costs of everything. Um, how can you be a proponent of, if not all out, if not getting rid of altogether, changing the way that these various things are distributed to create more of a way for people to be able to wean themselves off of it? It's an unpopular opinion, and I agree with you in that a lot of this is generational. I know people who, the issue is there's a growing segment that of an already established population of people who rely on these various programs, who do in fact have the means
Mm-hmm.
to not need them,
Mm-hmm.
but out of convenience still choose to manufacture ways to be able to still use them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Mike Epps is speaking to that particular group of the population, not
Mm-hmm.
not the ones who are so disenfranchised and destitute that there's an actual need for a reliance on them.
Mm-hmm.
Rather, the people who represent that larger pool of folks who could, if they wanted to, create pathways to be able to not have to need it, but choose to mire in situations purposefully in order to still get the entitlements and everything anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is something that people are exercising into perpetuity, um, because they want to. And it's a part. I do believe that when you're growing up in an environment in which that's what you observe, you're likely going to repeat that step. You're likely going to repeat that behavioral set and just kind of rehash that same process and basically do the same thing over and over again, thus begetting the generational curse. Because then those individuals have children, and the likelihood is the same thing is going to happen again. So I agree with Mike as there does need to be less of a reliance on this stuff, because I do believe that there's a correlation between the types of consumer choices that people on these programs make and the fact that they need to be on these programs. I believe there's a connection there. I don't think that that is random. I don't believe in random. I think there's a reason for everything. And I do believe that that connection speaks to the things that he talked about with respect to the types of foods you're putting in your body, your nutritional habits, the growing instances of, things like cancer. And it's not just that, it's also things like infertility. What else? Mental, what's the word? Like special needs, like the percentage wise, the rise in children being born who need special needs due to various cognitive impairments and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff has to be linked to some of these things that we're putting in our body as a result of what we're buying. And I think there's a correlation between what you choose to buy and being on these various programs. So I think he's right. I don't have the solution, of course, but I think that he's right when he talks about there needs to be less of a reliance on these programs, because in the short term, it's acceptable because they do provide you with the ability to be able to buy the foods and buy the things that you need for sustenance if you are in need of that. But in the long term, I do believe that it's a cost, and it's adversely affecting particular communities because socioeconomically, statistically, um, there's a greater percentage of certain groups who are going to rely on these various things more so than others. So it has an adverse effect on certain groups more than others. And as we continue to learn more about the long-term effects of certain food groups and things of that nature, um, we're going to learn from a concrete standpoint what those results are. But in the interim, I think that it is having somewhat of a detrimental effect. So there's a give and take there. I don't know what the happy medium is between people weaning themselves off of this stuff and still being able to provide these things for people who truly are in need. But I think the greater overall issue is people who do maintain the wherewithal to not need them, but get them anyway because it just makes things easier for them, creating various other bad habits, in my opinion, that last into perpetuity. So that's the magic Rubik's cube that needs to be solved, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's the level of dependency that that bothered me over the years. Once I saw the effects that it was having, um, and particularly when I was coming of age as a man in Tallahassee, um, and I would meet people um, that are in that situation, and there was no sense of urgency to get out. It was what it was. Um, you know, Section 8, food stamps, WIC, they were getting it all. And the turn up was still real for them. All right. They weren't going to not turn up. They weren't going to not do recreationals. Um, you know what I'm saying? Now, I was hanging out with them because I was turning up, all right, and all that other stuff. And but I saw the situation that they were in. And I was like, damn, man, like you won't have to live like this. But it was one of those things of that's what they knew. They mama was doing it, and everybody else in that neighborhood and everything else was already on it. It was what it was. And when I worked at Walmart, it was the same kinds of and this ain't no shade, man. It was just what I was seeing. It was the same kinds of people, like moms, same kinds of food in the cart. Whenever the stamps read up, sugary cereals, this and that and other things. You know what I'm saying? It was just the same old stuff. And it was just like, hey man, like, we don't have to do it like this. And so that's when I started to think about it as, hey, maybe this isn't so helpful. And then of course, me attending an HBCU and them speaking about the various ways that our community is impacted. And they talked about programs like Section 8, programs like food stamps and other government assistance programs that got introduced after civil rights. That statistically, all right, this isn't just things that I observed or how I feel. I mean, everybody can look at the statistics of marriages in our community, you know, family, economic status. There's so many things that got impacted once these government programs became readily available. And so they have had a negative impact, if you ask me, over the years. Now, granted, there's a lot of people that, made it out. And, there's a lot of people that was eating water sandwiches if they, when they didn't have those stamps. I get that, but at the same time, when you're dealing with a narcissist, an abusive person, their main operation in order to get you to get in online with their program is for you to be dependent on them. And this system, if you ask me, is predicated on growing that dependence on them. And because at that point, you're under control. And you can be either broken or anything else due to that level of dependence on whatever. And so I don't like to position myself in a level of dependence on anything and anyone. I like to be somebody that controls their own destiny. I better win this game right now is my mentality, so I can control my destiny and make it to the playoffs and the championship. I don't want to have to depend on other teams and some weird domino effect later on where my fate is now in the balance. I don't care for that. It never feels good. And when you're on these programs, that's your constant state. It's a constant state of anxiety and other things. I mean, I wish there were measurables on some of this stuff, that some of these cycles that these people go through when their stamps run out, and then when they get them back and all this other stuff. Like there's a whole psychological impact of living in that cycle as well. So yeah, these are all things that I'm not in favor for. As you said, what's the happy medium? I'm not trying to dunk on people. It's just a thing where it's like a lot of people just grew up into this thinking that that was normal. But I'm here to say that maybe uh, this system that we all came up growing up and thinking was normal is something that is actually crippling the people versus actually helping. So yeah, man, it's not it's a touchy subject. It's a nuanced conversation, and I'm definitely not out here being a wild person because trust me, I've had these conversations amongst my family. Just talking in general. Hey, they're gonna cut this, they're gonna cut that. I'm like, we don't need it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and then what you mean we don't need? Who do you? Are you orange, man? I'm not orange, bro. All right, but at the same time, man, it's like something's got to give. If we want to sit here annually and complain about our plights, then something has to give in order for us to not be in those situations anymore. And I think this is one of those components that add to our standings right now. So my personal opinion, and yeah, and like you, last thing I say, like you, I'm not talking about it in a situation where it's like, hey man, times is rough, you in between jobs or something crazy. These prices for foods is not a joke. You do need help here or there. Like, I'm not talking about that because that's not that person's baseline of I'm just gonna live like this for the rest of my life. If you need assistance in a spot, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the perpetual use and abuse, if you ask me. But yeah, man, that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's conversations like this that exemplifies why I never really engage myself too heavily with matters of conspiracy. It's because I feel like the greatest, most effective, targeted, weaponized systems of control are directly in front of people, and we willfully participate in them without being forced to. So there's really no need for me to be too preoccupied with conspiratorial stuff because we're active participants in our various conspiracies already. Like I'm not overly concerned with whether Nipsey Hussle was taken out by the government. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do I care about that when we get on these programs provided by the same people, the same entities, the same organizations, the same state sponsored and federal sponsored programs to go to Walmart and buy fruits out of season and vegetables from weird places. You know, GMO produced food products and, eggs that are laid by chickens that are eating corn all day, not free range chickens and things of that nature. What are the long term ramifications of all that stuff? There's already suspicion that a lot of these things that we're consuming do lead to long term, health issues, things like cancer or infertility, the likelihood that you're going to have issues giving birth, miscarriages, or children being born with cognitive impairments. The links between these various things and the foods that we're eating are actively being researched. But is there a possibility that there is a said link? Absolutely. And we're all still going to Walmart in droves and spending this money. We're still buying these things. We're still on these programs, spending this money on these same things. You bought a bunch of bananas lately and noticed that in 2 or 3 days they go from being dark green to brown. It's not natural. It's not normal. That is not the typical lifespan of a banana that was naturally grown. But we're buying it in all of the produce sections of these various grocery stores, including the places that are supposed to be giving us the good stuff.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
the Whole Foods and Trader Joe's of the world. So that's my whole thing is like, did this artist really drown in the bathtub or was there something else going on? I don't know. Was Kobe Bryant's helicopter crash really the result of pilot error or did somebody sabotage the helicopter? I don't
Sabotage.
I don't know. Like was Nipsey Hussle actually shot by some jealous dude in the hood named Eric Holder, or was it they? Was it them who took him out? Whoever they are, whoever them is. Hell if I know, but I know that y'all are still spending 8 to 10 hours a day on Instagram feeding data to these tech companies who are then going to turn around and sell that information to whomever is willing to pay the highest price. Y'all are still giving all this data willingly to these various tech companies who are running the world, and then they're going to use that information to create AI and all these various applications that you will then turn around and complain about. Well, you fed them the data to actually have the insight to be able to do these things in the first place. You know, we complain about all these things under the sun, but we'll take these SNAP benefits and these food stamps, and we'll go to Walmart and head to the juice aisle and buy a gallon of Hawaiian Punch. To me, it
which
doesn't make
which never gets cold, by the way.
and it doesn't need to be cold. Like sugary juices laced with high fructose corn syrup that don't require refrigeration. And we're drinking this stuff. And it doesn't cease to amaze me that in 2025, despite all of the evidence that is out there readily at your fingertips, you can hop on Google, you can hop on Wikipedia, it doesn't matter. There's all of this evidence out there. Yet despite all of that, I can in 2025 get in my car and drive to the McDonald's across the street and see a line of cars wrapped
It's
around the
packed,
building.
bro. The McDonald's by my house is packed every day.
Yeah, wrapped around the building.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is, are all of these things happening? Maybe. The hell if I know. But I personally, and this is just my personal opinion,
Mhm.
I don't choose to get too snuffed about that stuff because I'm looking at all of these other things happening right before my very eyes. And there's far more people actively participating in all of those various systems of control. And yes, you can lump the foods in with it. The social media usage, the reliance on all of these various devices, it's all the same. You know, go education. You don't think graduating with $20,000 in student loan debt is a system of control? Of course it is. 50 racks, 100 racks. And look, I'm not high and mighty. I'm one of those individuals who graduated from college with a substantial amount of student loan debt. My student loan debt is actively prohibiting me from being able to get a good loan on a house so that I can own something with some equity and pay a mortgage. And I refuse to pay rent because you're literally throwing money away doing that. So these are all various systems of control. What program am I going to need to be relying upon in order for me to be able to have the chance to minimize the impact that my student loan debt, another system of control, is having with respect to me being able to actually be a homeowner?
Mhm.
And these are all various systems that we are willful participants in. So those things, to me, in my opinion, are the greatest conspiracies going on because they're not even being hidden or concealed. They're right in front of us. And that's just my personal opinion on that. I'm not trying to say that that's right or wrong. It just is what it is as far as I'm concerned. So I do think there needs to be a shift in terms of mentality for sure. When or how will it take place? I'm not exactly sure. And I don't know how you can reconcile the need for the existence of these various programs with the fact that people need to be more educated on some of the constructive ways to not need them, because there's more education on that front that's needed. You don't actually need to have the if I could go back now and do college all over again, the night and day drastic difference between the way I did it and the way I would do it, given what I know now, is incomprehensible. I would graduate with a master's degree with no student loan debt, and the world would be my oyster at this point. But I think that this country relies upon people being in a perpetual state of debt so that you can then rely on the various tools and systems that they are willing to give you so that you can try to get out of that particular form of bondage. But you're just willfully offering yourself up for another system of bondage. So I think the food is a part of that, which is why I think these comments by Mike Epps are apropos. Um, depending on your particular perspective, it kind of determines, how impactful the food aspect of this particular conversation is having with you individually. But I do think it's all working in concert. And I don't think that you can summarily dismiss one element, because I think all elements are actively working simultaneously to sequester people into various pockets of class and income power and purchasing power and all this other stuff, literally controlling what people can and cannot do.
Yeah, bro. Hey, well said, bro. So you just explained the grand conspiracy, bro. That is the grand conspiracy, bro. That's literally what the Matrix is. You just described the Matrix. So getting involved and getting into the weeds within one conspiracy is for me is for fun. But if it's a situation where it's just like, hey, well, there's all these other systems and all this other stuff, and you're still gonna go to McDonald's, and it's like, yeah, all of that's the game. And the game is, and the conspiracy is the Matrix, and the agents that continue to prop it up and introduce new variables into the Matrix to get more people trapped on more systems of control. So yeah, man, that's what's going on. The answer, is to unplug yourself from the power grid. And we talk about not being on the grid in terms of relationships are concerned, but when it comes to this whole game, this whole racket that everybody's out here feeling like they're forced to play, you got to unplug from that. So you are eating foods within season. You're not eating stuff from these conspiracy groceries. These grocery stores are conspiracy. As you mentioned, Trader Joe's and Whole Foods. Like Whole Foods spray all their stuff with wax. Like they little stuff where you go get your kale and all that stuff where they're constantly it's got suds in it. You wash it off at the house and you put it on the cutting board, suds coming out of it. Yeah, it's like, what are these suds? It's probably some solution that they're spraying, because it's not water, it's a solution. Solution to what problem? So this stuff is going on everywhere. So the whole college system, the whole education system, everything, you name it. So yeah, government assistance, these stores, the medical field, and you name it, everything is compromised, if you ask me. And it's predicated on a system of capitalism, which is predicated on a system of cattle, of slaves and workers to feed upper class people. And this is where those AI conversations become more, prevalent, or more relevant, is in the context of they're soon they're not going to need us to prop up their system anymore, because they're going to have bots doing it. And so that whole situation of well, that's why the food is killing people. It's going to be crazy to put people in gas chambers, so have them kill themselves.
Yeah.
So that's what this system is. Food is horrendous right now. This is the worst food has ever been, and it only gets worse every month. And I made I talked about it a couple weeks ago when I just went to Zaxby's. I probably heard one too many ads during football. And I went and I ate one of them things, one of them little tenders, and I was like, this ain't chicken.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's been places you've gone and you done ate it and whatever, and you're like, this ain't whatever this is supposed to be.
Man, this stuff is none of this stuff is real. Like I've been alive long enough that I've been able to see the transition. Yes. I've been able to see even junk food. I've been able to see things change in size.
Yeah.
I've been able to see, you used to be able to buy a cheesecake and it was a certain circumference, and now you're going by the exact same thing and it looks different. It's more off-white and it's smaller. Like, what is there to explain why fundamentally, in terms of the various, down to a cellular level, it's different? It shouldn't be that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not supposed to happen like that.
Mhm.
It's because whatever process they've used to manufacture this stuff has changed over the years for the purposes of efficiency and cost cutting.
Mhm.
That's the reason why. But the point is, it's manufactured.
Correct. Correct.
It's not something that you're natural. It's not a natural thing that you're consuming.
No,
It's a
not anymore.
man-made manufacture. It's man-made and manufactured. Like,
What?
this is one of those areas where being older gives you a unique perspective
Yeah.
because you can see the way things have changed over time.
Yes. And it's been a lot more rapid too within the last decade. I mean, it's very aggressive. And even the whole thing of, oh, I'm eating plant-based. I'm eating plant-based. It's a plant-based blah 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 blah. And somebody had said something, of course, internet person, but somebody had said something, and I take it with me. So whenever I hear plant-based, that means it was made in a plant, made in a factory. It's plant-based. It's not made from
It didn't
whatever
grow.
plant you think it
Yeah, it didn't grow out the ground, right?
is. You're eating a chemistry set. So everything, bro, it's all inception, and it's all of these things. So what's the best course of action? Hey guys, I go to Whole Foods too, y'all. So I'm not above this. All right. But the fact remains is that the things that we have been noticing, whether it was food or anything else, where things are just strange, and it's moving in a direction that you don't think is good for the culture of humanity. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, whatever entities that are controlling this thing, that's the they everybody talks about. I don't know who they are, but that's the they. When people say they,
Yeah.
it's like, well, what they? Nobody's making you go to McDonald's. That's like, I know, but you know what I'm saying? The they is behind it.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, man.
They is what made you go to Zaxby's that day.
They did. They got my ass. What me, dog? Like if I had told you I went to Zaxby's, even now you saying you
I wouldn't believe it. I wouldn't believe it.
but I don't watch way too many college football things. I might be drinking a Dr. Pepper soon, y'all. Look out. Yeah, bro. So at the end of the day, man, hey man, I'm not above this. Okay. I just think that snaps and all of that stuff is one of those systems, as you were saying.
It is, yes.
And it got people in a spell. And basically what Epps was saying was like, it being removed for some people, it would help break that spell. But some people are so far gone that they would turn up and flip over the store. So I was in a place too. I was kind of happy about it, but then also a little concerned, So, but yeah, man, it's one of those things, bro. It's not an easy thing, but something's got to give. But yeah, man, that's I agree, bro. I agree with you.
Yeah. Shouts out to King Hercules on the chat. He said, "True that."
Yeah,
so yeah, man. You probably done seen the shift when it comes to these weird things too, bro.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
It's not a game, man. And I don't want to take anyone's right to engage in conspiracy theories away from them because, like I said, I don't know what's real and what's not. And the likelihood that there's merit to a substantial amount of that stuff is reasonable to believe. But I also think that the bigger fish is the stuff right in front of us. And I kind of feel like we're eating the biggest conspiracies are what we're eating. And the fact that we're on these devices, sending these data to these tech companies all day, and the fact that we're getting in these debts with these these loan officers, these credit unions, and these banks, high interest rate credit cards, financing iPhones and all of this other weird stuff that we're doing. All of that stuff is a part of it, and that's right. And they ain't even trying to hide that. They're giving it to us, and we're just taking it. So that's my whole thing with that.
Yeah, man. Hey, y'all be safe out there, y'all. And shout out to Mike Epps, man. Mike Epps is a little polarizing for some people. Me personally, I think he's hilarious. So shout out to Mike Epps, man.
Yeah. And we move on to Jimmy Butler, who faced the wrath recently of somebody who lost a substantial amount of money betting on Jimmy Butler hitting a prop of 30 points scored in the game. And this individual was so
The hell was he
upset.
thinking?
This individual was so upset with Jimmy Butler that he confronted him in person while Jimmy Butler was out on his, minding his own business, drinking a cup of coffee in New Orleans. Like the shame and the dismay. So this says, watch Bettor confront Jimmy Butler for losing him $30,000 prop bet. A video has gone viral showing Jimmy Butler getting pressed by a man who said he lost a prop bet in which the Golden State Warriors star needed to score 30 points in a game. Butler was walking around the streets of New Orleans when the bettor started hurling insults at the six-time NBA All-Star from his car. With a cup of coffee in one hand and his phone in the other, Butler turned around and walked up to the car, but did not fully engage with the disgruntled bettor. The man shouting at Butler, saying he apparently could have won $30,000 on a $3,000 bet if the Warriors star scored at least 30 points. Based on Butler's numbers this season, the bet was quite risky. The forward has scored over 30 points only once, and that happened in the season opener. He's averaging 19.1 points per game this season and 18.3 points per game throughout his 15-year NBA career. Now, here is this exchange between, Jimmy Butler and this guy who is heckling him because he didn't, hit the prop of 30 points.
Man, fucking green apple looking at, stupid big ass Timbs on. Jimmy Butler, man, they don't give a fuck you in that city. Stupid looking at, look at him. Mopain looking at, yeah. Bro, I put 3,000 and win 30. Why you ain't have 30 perks? Jimmy Butler, why you did not have a 30 perks? You were supposed to go over, bitch. You work for Vegas. You work for Vegas.
This guy, he cannot be serious, bro. He can't be serious.
What did you think about that?
What an idiot. Jimmy Butler to score 30? What were you on? Where did you even place that bet? Who was picking the over so many times that the sports book set it at 30? That's an even number.
30 points, that ain't even a Philadelphia 76ers Jimmy Butler bet.
That's not even Himothy Jimmy Butler. That's not you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not even playoff Jimmy. I'm not putting 30 piece on that. Like, what are you talking about? And then you put 3 racks on it? What the hell do you have going on, bro? Like, nah, dude. I'm sorry. Yeah, normally I'm on the side of the sports bettor. Normally I'm on the side of anything against Jimmy Butler. but in this context, bro, I'm sorry, bro. You gotta ride that one out, bro. You gotta hold that L. First of all, I forgot bro name, bro. He's hilarious. But he's on TikTok, man, and every night, man, he has people on his parlay ban list of people that you don't pick them for your parlays because why? They gonna sell you out. That's why. And there's some people that I have on my ban list. Okay. Jimmy Butler's on my ban list. I don't bet anything on Jimmy Butler. I don't care how good I feel. I don't care who's sitting out. You don't put money on Jimmy Butler. Not only do you not put money on Jimmy Butler, you don't put 3 racks on Jimmy Butler. I don't care where your pocket's at. You should never do that. So,
hey, buddy sound like a YN. You know, these YNs don't give a damn. They got money to blow.
You know, they got money apparently. All right, $3,000 on a basketball prop. Like, that's ridiculous, bro. So, nah, Jimmy Butler's on my list. Kyle Kuzma was on my list. I'm gonna name a whole bunch of, you know what I'm saying, people that are just aloof. All right, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, it's other people that I could think of that are just banned, bro. Like, I'm not putting money on them, bro. Desmond Bain, not doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Andrew Wiggins.
Are you kidding me? I'm not putting anything on Andrew Wiggins. Draymond Green, no way. You're a fool. So yeah, man. Sorry, bro. Again, I'm normally on the side of sports bettors, and I'm all for the Vegas conspiracies. But Jimmy Butler was not on his way to 30 points. Okay. All right, that was just a dumbass bet. That's an easy under. All right, 10 times out of 10. But what are your thoughts, man, on Jimmy Butler getting called out by a gambler saying that, hey, man, I done lost 3 racks. I could have won 30,000. What are your thoughts, bro?
I agree with you 100% on all of that. And furthermore, hey, look, man, this sports betting stuff, they're gonna need to get a they're gonna need to get a wrangle around this.
Yeah.
Seriously. And I think these leagues, as weird as this may sound, these leagues are gonna have to start like providing sports better insurance to these players. Like as in and I know that this is gonna sound a bit radical, but as in like, you know, incidents where a player is adversely affected by a disgruntled person who lost a whole bunch of money out of, because of a gambling bet gone wrong or something like that, that player is going to need to be covered in some kind of way, because these things are going to start increasing in occurrences. And I personally believe you're going to start seeing more and more people as sports betting becomes more ubiquitous and pervasive, more so than it already is. Because now I said it, was that last week or 2 weeks ago, I think. The thing with the sports betting now, the way it's marketed like you're going to the arcade to have fun playing video games. That's the way it's marketed. Like it's just fun experience and you're going to love every second of it. It's positioned that way to sort of lull people into a false sense of security and to maintain a reasonable expectation that winning is a likely outcome. And the more and more people that you get drinking this Kool-Aid, I think you're going to have more and more people statistically who are going to reach points of desperation, and they're going to start looking at some of these athletes as targets because they blame them for the fact that their parlays didn't hit.
Yep.
So it's weird. Like these leagues are going to have to start thinking about stuff like that, like sports better insurance policies or something. Because remember, was that last year or a couple years ago? You had all of these NFL players, their homes were getting broken into. I think they broke into Mahomes' house and Kelsey's house, Joe Burrow stealing jewelry and all kind of stuff. I think that stuff is going to start increasing because you're going to have a lot of people out there acting like this dude, losing out on a whole bunch of money, and they're not going to be reasonable enough to not blame the athlete for the fact that they lost a lot of money on this bet. Or you're going to have more situations like Ricky Pearsall, getting run up on and shot by a fan. Now that didn't have anything to do with bets or gambling, but I feel like stuff like that can happen in the future, and it will be because of bets and gambling. Who knows?
100%.
So, I think people need to brace themselves for that, and I think that there are going to need to be increased protections for a lot of these athletes as a result. And that's not an in defense of Jimmy Butler argument. That's in defense of the way the culture and the society is moving, with more and more people hopping on to sports betting as if it's just this normal pastime, which is the way a lot of people nowadays are treating betting because of how easily accessible it's become. So I do think that there are going to be more unintended consequences that creep up as a result of this. And I think this barely scratches the surface.
Yeah, we haven't, I know Kelly Oubre had a situation, I don't know if that was last year or whatever, where he had a faux pas with a fan, but it was alleged that the fan hit him or something, like he was like on his bike or something. But I think those were just 2 separate incidences that people tried to tie together. So it wasn't anything direct, but there are going to be there is, and I ain't trying to speak this on nobody, but as it becomes more pervasive, it won't be a situation like this where a guy's just recording him. Like it's going to be somebody that's really upset.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was that movie? The Fan.
With Robert De Niro. Yeah.
Well, basically somebody's going to take it to the max.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get it real extreme with their frustrations. And when we did talk about the gambling last time, I just talked about like, yeah, I play it for fun. I try to win too, but I play it for fun, and I know a lot of people, they joke around with it, hopefully they're playing for fun. But I know people losing money on this. I know people losing money that they could really use on this. And this guy's case is an extreme. I mean, 3 racks on a parlay, you're insane. But there are contexts where people put 30 on it. You know what I'm saying? $30. And that $30 meant something, bro. That could have went in your gas tank. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so some people, they are positioning themselves like, it is crazy, bro. Like, they are offering it like it's not an addiction. Like, we don't see cigarette commercials no more. But here we are partnering with the NBA and the NFL, the MLB, and offering it and telling me over and unders every time they get a chance. The Raiders are a plus 6.5. I'll take that, or whatever the hell they're talking about everywhere. So yeah, it's talked about very casually as if it's not something that is addictive. These apps don't make it any easier because at least for DraftKings, bro, and Prize Picks, they be playing around with the visualizations and the interface and stuff like that, where it does little stuff that makes you, you want to see those flames on DraftKings. I want to see them flames, damn it. And when I see that generally means I'm about to make some money. And so they got the little stuff in there, man, that messes with the cortexes in your brain and them endorphins and stuff. And yeah, man, it is a hell of a drug, bro.
Just like the arcade does.
Yeah, man.
When we went to the arcade and you wanted to play the games, and it's the same effect, bro. Like, that's really how I see it. Like, I look at the way that sports betting is marketed now, the same way that they used to market Grand Prix and Chuck E. Cheese to kids, where it's like, come have fun, and you're gonna spend money when you get here, but you're gonna have fun playing these video games. To me, it's the same thing, except this is far more dangerous and far higher stakes.
Yes, you're gonna have fun losing your mortgage. Nah, bro, I'm straight, man. I'm good off that, bro. So yeah, man, I'm with you, bro, but it doesn't look like it's going anywhere, man. It looked like it's here to stay, and it looked like it's gonna get a lot more aggressive. And as I mentioned, man, like, I really realized it picked up post-COVID, but post 2020, the economy has also been a wreck. And like I had mentioned in the last topic, we talked about it. I did realize a correlation in sports betting once the economy got rougher. And I do think people played the lottery less and sports betting more. There's bots out there that do simulations and stuff like that for you, so it can optimize your stuff for you, so you can pick the right plays, and them bots be right a lot. So it's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of tools and things that people are using, spending high dollars. I'm talking about some of these tools, bro, that like they'll charge you $200 a month, and people are paying that. And it's like, you know how much you got to win in order for that to not be a big deal?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing, bro? Oh, you just get our other package for $50-some a month. It's like, I'm not paying that. You know what I'm saying? So, all in all, bro, yeah, it's a racket. And it's gonna catch people. It's gonna catch people, and it clearly caught this man, whether he was joking or not. For him to pull up on Jimmy Butler like that is uncalled for. But yeah, we're gonna be seeing a lot more. So, yeah, man, look out, y'all. Them athletes out there, and you're right. But they're not going to come up with any of those insurance type of things until it happens.
It's right. Yeah.
And when it happens, now the NBA and NFL are going to go, whoa, we got to do something about this.
Yeah.
But until then, they're going to wait.
Yeah. Yeah. In all likelihood, yeah. But I think the reason why, because I think you're right. I do think on average, I don't know if there's any data to back this up, but I suspect that on average, more people participate in sports betting than the lottery at this point. And I think the reason why is effective marketing. I think there's this idea that's been incepted into people that there's a better chance of winning through sports betting than it is the lottery. The lottery is like a 1 in whatever million or billion chance. But I think that there's this idea that you open up the phone, you get on Hard Rock Bet, and you put $50 or $100 on a couple of parlays, and there's a higher likelihood that you're going to win doing that than the lottery. And really, it's all a crapshoot. It's the same thing.
Insane.
So,
hey, I'll tell y'all like this. Last thing, I'll tell y'all like this. If y'all gonna do your parlays, bro, a 2-leg parlay, 2 picks. Now, granted, the payout ain't nothing, but it's just pick 2. Because I'm telling you right now, when you pick over 2, you're picking 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nah, bro, you hear these people that actually won on a 7-leg parlay or whatever. But I mean, that's few and far between, bro. Just play 2, all right? Because when you pick that 7 or that 6, and you got 5 out of those 6, but you only got double your money for that. You got 5 right. Just pick 2. Hey, man, but when it's a gamble, and it's fun, you just picking 2 is boring, and that's how they get you, man. So I'm just telling you, word of advice from a chronic a chronic user. Just keep it down to 2, man. Don't go crazy, bro.
Yeah, it's a drug, man, and hopefully a lot of y'all can wean yourselves off of it if you're becoming a little too dependent on it. But I assure you, gambling is not the arcade, but that's what sports betting is. It's arcade for adults. That's what sports betting has become.
Unbelievable, bro.
And moving right along, we have some controversy involving Rory Farrell, one half of Rory and Mal, a popular hip hop podcast. Apparently, some old tweets attributed to Rory resurfaced recently, in which he is denigrating black women. So we'll get into this. He tried to clean things up by going on the Twitter Spaces, and of course, made things worse. And he has since shown contrition for the way that he conducted himself in said Twitter space. But he is also still, saying that a lot of that stuff was fake and not necessarily representative of the way that he really feels. And there was some internet doohickey going on. So this says Rory of Rory About apologizes for offensive comments about black women, including Beyonce. Now, you already know when you do something and Beyonce is involved. If it ain't on the up and up, you're in trouble. Rory Farrell of the New Rory and Mal podcast is in hot water after many racist retweets have resurfaced on social media, including one where he insulted Beyonce and Blue Ivy's names. According to Hot New Hip Hop, Farrell shared offensive comments about black women that are not sitting right with fans of the podcast hosts. I've never saw a good-looking black woman, one of them reads. In another, he claims that every black woman has either wanted to, thought about, or actually F the white guy. Hashtag white people facts. Here's more of Farrell's hateful tweets and how the podcast host is addressing the backlash. According to Hot 97, screenshots of Farrell's hateful comments about black women circulated online earlier in November. Fans were particularly perturbed by one in which the podcast host called Beyonce a hood rat name and criticized Blue Ivy's name. Farrell, along with his podcast co-hosts Jamil, Mal Clay, and Damaris Giscombe, not sure if I'm saying that right, joined a X Spaces conversation to address the backlash, where several black journalists and fans called him out for his racist comments, many of which he wrote about a decade ago. They also noticed the podcast host deleting some of his problematic posts in real time. Farrell initially responded to the backlash sarcastically, despite Giscombe saying he can't troll his way out of the situation and emphasize his place in hip-hop culture. Fans felt as though he was dismissing the backlash and urged him to apologize to the people and his black college fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi. So are they? Does that mean Rory is a Kappa?
Is that I missed that part? My bad. I'll check out something.
Because if I'm reading that correctly, I don't know anything about the guy, but according to that paragraph, Rory is a Kappa. Unless that is like incorrectly attributed.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Though he eventually apologized, he still argued that the backlash was unwarranted and that it sensationalized the situation. Fans were unimpressed with Farrell's apology and have continued to call him out on social media. So there are some of the responses there. Who told Rory it would be a good idea to go on Spaces and then resort to sarcasm while addressing racism allegations? Those fake tweets, I was probably joking. Twitter used to be private. My black girlfriend tweeted that from my phone. I apologize. So yeah, a bunch of reactions here with this stuff. So there you go. Now there is somewhat of them rehashing that Twitter Spaces encounter. So just to provide a little bit of context, we'll go ahead and play some of that snippet. So here's a little bit of that sound.
The internet is not real.
Like, what are we talking about? Like, that shit is not. Now, in the same vein, I will say I've met some really cool people
for sure
via social media over the years that I, salute to them, and some of us are like really close friends and have great relationships to this day. So you do align with certain people that you end up having a lot in common with, and they understand you and things like that. So shout out to them. I'm never speaking to them. I appreciate those people, but the people that is just looking for a moment and just looking for something to be mad about and something to be offended about. And I don't have time to talk to those people. Those are the same people that feel like the white man got their foot on their neck. I ain't got time for that. I don't want to talk to those people.
And I understand you feeling that way, but you also have to look at the other side of my white face. Yes, people can be outraged if I make an, no pun intended, off-colored joke. Like, that's fine. They can be upset. I get it. I just went.
Yeah, they can. It's a choice. Yeah. It's a choice to be upset about that.
And I mean, I apologize if you are. And
listen, I can never be mad at you for being, a racist. Nice guy. Well, that too. If you're a racist, I can't listen. That's your prerogative. But I mean, yeah, like
that's your personal business.
It's your business. If you racist, that's your. It doesn't affect me at all. But I don't know, man. I just, people are just. We got to get past certain things. Like certain things that continue to be conversations to me is just like. It's almost like clockwork. You can almost tell, when a girl about to ask you for some money. Like, never talk to a girl from the 21st of the month to the 2nd.
She say, "Yo, I'm stressed out."
She gonna start huffing and puffing. After 2 huffs, hang up, because the 3rd huff, she gonna be like, "Yo, she need something that's gonna cost you." You know, talk to women from the 9th to the 18th.
Okay,
of each month.
Yo, gotcha. I just realized I'd be like.
Yeah, I ain't got time for that. Once you start doing that,
and it's the bait too, because you be like, "Yo, what's wrong? You all right?"
I got a lot. I got so much going on.
Stress, like,
yeah. And then you want to seem concerned.
Now all of a sudden her mom's sick.
All right, so it kind of sounds to me like they weren't necessarily trying to disavow the tweets, but rather were saying people get offended too easily by stuff, or people are always on the lookout for reasons to be offended by something, which, depending on what you're talking about, is true. I'm not sure that it applies in this particular situation, but that was kind of the way that they were rehashing all of that. So what do you make of this whole fiasco? I'm pretty sure he's going to continue to deal with this for the immediate future.
Yeah, I think this is definitely an immediate future thing for sure. And also one of those things that's going to be a nagging thing, I'm sure, throughout his career. People are going to highlight these things. I think DJ Academics is what?
No, I was just going to say, so King Hercules on the chat is confirming Rory being a Kappa. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Which again, I am not surprised. You gotta play the role, man. So hey, and I think him and DJ Academics is beefing over this kind of a situation, or not this, but just in general. So I know Academics is not gonna let up on this, and I guess neither will his fan base, or whatever. But I just think that this is Twitter just catches everybody. I think everybody has racist tweets nowadays. If you go back far enough, somebody has said something offensive on Twitter. So I don't know why these celebrities don't have somebody to go clean their history. It's your tweets from 2015 don't serve you any purpose anyway. So once you get an agent, once you get, excuse me, all this stuff working for yourself, I think it's best practice to wipe your Twitter history or your Instagram history or whatever, because it comes back to haunt a lot of these people. So he said that some of the tweets were fake. Now he said some of them were fake, so which leads us to believe that some of them are real.
Right.
Which ones, who knows? But all that got pulled up were offensive. So some of the stuff that he said was offensive. And I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised here. When people got to really understand this, man. A lot of people say racist stuff. Oh, here he goes. A lot of people say racist stuff, man. Okay. And for whatever reason, people treated Twitter, probably still do, as a place to just shoot out thoughts and ideas, and just, I'm gonna be edgy here or whatever. So there's a lot of people that would say culturally insensitive stuff about other cultures of people. And people say that a lot, in their own households or wherever, in common circles of friends or whatever. They say stuff that would get them canceled if everybody heard it. And I say that to say that Rory, being, a white guy, him having particular views on a different community, to me, is not surprising. It's not surprising. Oh, well, he's occupying a black space and covering hip hop.
Yes.
It's like, okay, well, he likes rap. He like rap. What are you supposed to do? Just because he like rap don't mean he has to like whatever, or he can still have his edgy opinion about whatever. Like, that's people. I'm not defending him. My thing is, why are you surprised? Why do you want to get him canceled now? I've been canceling him before these tweets. I can't cancel him. I've already done that. Why? Because of how he moves and how he talks and all this other stuff. He got canceled. So if this is what cancels Rory for you, I don't know what to tell you. You shouldn't be surprised by this or anybody else from another culture that feels some type of way about your culture. Because that's how people talk, whether it's public on the internet or behind closed doors. And people that may not like you the way that you think they like you, like the things that you do aesthetically, should not come as a surprise. So therefore, if they like what you do aesthetically, occupy a space, get a job in it, make money off of it, you can't be surprised about it. But how can you do that and be over here? That means you really don't love the music. He does love the music. He's just from a different culture. And because he's from a different culture, he's going to have some views about certain things that you may not care for. So all in all, I think that this is a situation where if people want to cancel him, I think they have the right to. Me personally, I've already done that because of things that he's said and done in the past where I'm like, I don't rock with that. So I don't rock with him. And so when these tweets came out, this to me, it wasn't anything surprising or special. To me, he still occupies the same space as far as how I feel about the dude. But there's going to be a lot of people who that jump on this, that already have jumped on this, and will proceed to cancel him due to this. But me personally, I think this is a situation of why are you surprised? But what are your thoughts, man, on Rory allegedly making some hateful comments online and now doubling back and apologizing after backlash? What are your thoughts, man?
I'm unmoved because I'm also not surprised. The reason why there's such a strong reaction to those comments is because he's occupying a hip hop space.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And for whatever reason, people believe that a requirement in order to occupy a hip hop space is you also have to love black people. It's not. I hate to break the news to people, but that's not a prerequisite. You can love hip hop and hip hop music, and you can love rap people and still feel some type of way about black people. You just can. I can understand how people can perceive that to be a counterintuitive notion, but it's just true. Life is nuanced. It's gray. It's not black and white. And he probably has certain preconceived racial biases given his upbringing and his culture and his amount of influences that are going to probably rub you the wrong way given your culture and your influences and your upbringing. And just because y'all both like the same type of music doesn't mean that that's not going to happen.
Exactly.
And there are instances of this replete throughout the rest of society.
Yep.
There are women who occupy male dominant spaces and don't like men.
Yep.
Like that's a thing. All of these women who cosplay at Comic-Con and these conventions and love being a gamer and are on Twitch streaming playing Call of Duty, a lot of those chicks don't even like men.
Or
But
like games.
they don't like men at all, but they're occupying very male dominated spaces.
Yes.
You think that because they play as much Legend of Zelda as you that they like boys? There's a very good chance that they don't even like men. So we see these things going on. Same thing with sports. There's women who enjoy the NFL and don't like men or black people for that matter.
Mhm.
It happens. They can compartmentalize being able to root for their team, but still feeling some type of way if their relative or their son or their mother or their father or their sister came home with a non-white significant other.
Yep.
These things happen. All right. I know when I was in school at Florida State, I knew people personally who rooted like crazy for all of the black football players, didn't have one black friend.
Yep.
Didn't converse with one black person, but they love the hell out of some black athletes. So this stuff happens. If you want to get offended by those tweets, I suppose you can. I'm unmoved by this because this does not shock me. These kind of things happen all the time. And you got to start, people need to disassociate. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. We really need to make a concerted effort to disassociate hip hop from black culture. We need to get out of the mindset of believing that those two things are synonymous with one another, because it's a commercial product that's consumed by a worldwide audience. It no longer belongs to black people, and it hasn't belonged to black people for 20, 25, 30 years at this point. Mm-hmm. There's other people actively participating in it, and those individuals have the way that they see the world giving where they come from. It's just the way it is. But they like the way Jay-Z does a witty rhyme, or they love the way, you know what I'm saying, this other rapper does what he does. They like Travis Scott. They like going to Astro World. They might not be friends with black people though, but they'll go to Astro World in a minute. That's just the way this stuff is. I guess it's triggering because black women are one of those protected species nowadays. You know, you can't really say anything that's remotely objectionable about black women because it means you just hate everybody and hate everything and hate life. Black women are definitely a protected species nowadays. Even if you don't say something that's objectionable, people will find the objection in it, because the idea is we all have a responsibility to protect the black women at all costs. And that's not to suggest that black women aren't worth defending, because of course they are, but they are certainly a protected species in which there is a heightened level of sensitivity around any comments made with respect to them, I would say, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. But furthermore, when it comes to people like Rory, don't get offended. He probably has certain sensibilities that are going to rub your sensibilities the wrong way. And you walking around thinking that y'all got the same sensibilities because y'all both love rap music. And that's where you went wrong. So I would suggest that you recalibrated I would suggest that you recalibrate the way that you think about that and understand that despite the fact that this kid is a Kappa and listens to the same music as you, he probably has a lot of ideologies that are consistent with white people ideologies.
Right. Surprise.
Right. And it just is what it is, man. So just, I don't know. I think people need to get over it.
Hey, man, you know, I agree, bro. And damn, that made me forget what I was gonna say. But yeah, I agree with you, bro. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. You know, this is another thing too. Some people are in interracial relationships, marriages, and they don't like the race of people that they're dealing with.
Yeah. Yes.
Now that somebody can psychoanalyze why they're doing that all they want, but that happens.
Yes.
So you can't be shocked about that. You know, I forgot which election it was. I don't think it was this past one. I think it was Orange Man's first go around, where there were just these videos coming out because this white guy is either dating or married to a black woman, and he's pro orange. Surprise. And the black woman's like, "What are you kidding me?" And now the guy's like, "Yeah, and all you people just do this." It's like, you know, she's shocked and uploading it up to the internet. And then here comes the comment section. "Oh my gosh, oh, I feel sorry for you, girl." Oh, and it's like, listen, she should have been peeped that was in this guy's character. I don't think this election brought that out of him.
Yeah, there's no way she doesn't know.
Yeah, like you've heard some comments before. He done said this. You done been around his people before. Like you done caught wind of this somehow, some way. You know, this election might be drawing the final straw or whatever. But at the end of the day, like you've caught some inclination that he may not really care from the people that you come from. He likes you. He thinks you're different, but he thinks the rest of them are out there jigabooing it up. You know what I'm saying? On your snaps and all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So when I hear somebody who comes from a different worldview give takes on my culture, I'm not shocked that their worldview is skewed, especially with current media and all this other stuff. Like we're not represented the best, period. All right. So as a stereotype, we have these things going around as a people, as a collective, for better or for worse in a lot of cases. And a lot of people just consume that and go, oh, isn't that how you people do things? Yeah. You know, isn't that how things work? Yeah. So them being ignorant to our culture is not a surprise. It's just not. Whether it's willfully ignorant or just genuinely being ignorant, you can't be surprised when other cultures of people got takes on your people that's not savory at all. So, yeah. So me, just, you know, hearing about this stuff, it goes, okay, well, yeah, I mean, whoop-de-doop. Then once I saw it and it was just, you know, black woman hood rat, and it's like, okay, you know, black woman this, you know, black man in food stamp line, you know, and the chow line. Okay, like, all right, yeah, who cares? Yeah. So yeah, me personally, bro, like, yeah, I used to get offended so easily back in the day. I mean, stuff used to just trigger me. Oh, that's racist. He's a racist. She's a racist. You know. And then yeah, I had to grow up, man. I had to learn that people got different takes on stuff. Whether it's genuinely racist or just genuinely ignorant, it doesn't affect me. And I had to really get into that space of, okay, that's how that person feels about it, but it didn't move me at all. Yeah, so Rory, again, like I mentioned, occupying the hip hop space, and he's culture vulturing or whatever anybody else wants to say about this stuff. And it's just like, you have the right to tune him out. And it's quite easy, honestly. He's not hard to ignore. Right. He is very easy to ignore. So just ignore his ass. Yeah. So yeah, me personally, this doesn't move me at all either. It's water under the bridge. I've been ignoring him before because of some of his takes and his stance on industry stuff, and I didn't trust him with that. You know, it feels like he's paid for him and Maul. I don't take their opinion seriously. There are a couple of the guys that you like to talk about as far as the context of bigging up everybody, you know, unless it's Kendrick Lamar, of course. But bigging up everybody, everything's hot, you know, all this other stuff. Like they're on that weird time, and I never got with that. So all in all, this doesn't move me. If you guys want to cancel him for it, go for it. If you don't, go for it. But yeah, I think the main takeaway is don't be surprised by either him or anybody else, whether it's from his culture, whether they're Hispanic or anything else, man. Don't be surprised when somebody has a take about your people that's misinformed.
Yeah. At this point, I don't even consider a person like him a culture vulture because I don't think that he is not hip hop. I think hip hop belongs to everybody. Hip hop is everybody's culture. It doesn't belong to one particular community. It belongs to everybody. And I'm not saying that because it's a good thing. I'm saying that that's what it's become as a commercial product. As an art, as a music form, it's been commodified and sold to everybody, which means the N-word is a part of that commodification. The twerking, the cornrows, the long braids, all of these things that you still think belong exclusively to black people, all of that has been bottled up and packaged as a part of hip hop and sold to everybody else. So that's the reality that we are currently living in. It no longer belongs exclusively to us. And like I said before, it ceased to be that way a long time ago. It ceased to be that way when I was a child. So I think people need to really learn how to get over that because it ain't your stuff anymore. It's everybody's stuff. And furthermore, I remember when I was at Florida State, there was this one kid, a white dude, who's actually from here. He's from the crib. And we used to hoop together all the time and whatnot. And we used to hang out occasionally. I didn't think he was a bad dude. You know, he was a white guy. He was a typical white guy. You know, it is, you know, he's not a bad guy. He was cool enough. I never got the sense that there was anything weird or off about him. He seemed like regular people to me. And one time me and him were in the gym and we were talking about women. And we got onto the subject of preferences and the kind of women that each of us likes. And he basically told me straight up, he was like, you know, the only kind of woman that I don't really like is a black woman. And there was somebody else who was in the group, and he was like, well, what do you mean you don't like black women? and he was like, I wouldn't want to date, I don't want to touch, I don't want to sleep with, I don't want to be with, marry, have sex with a black woman. I just don't even anything but that. And you know, the other guy was like put off by that. But to me, and I know this is gonna probably rub a lot of people the wrong way, I was just like, well, he's probably a white guy, and a lot of white guys probably feel the same way. I mean, it just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I guess it's a bit abrasive for a person to say that directly in that manner, but I would imagine a lot of white dudes believe the same thing. And you know, it was so funny because, you know, he didn't feel any type of trepidation to say that in front of me. He really didn't care. He felt completely 100% comfortable saying this to me because he didn't think that there was a chance that I would be offended by that. Now, I do think that if it was somebody else, he may have gotten checked, but because it was me, you know, I don't care, so I didn't check it. But it just goes to show you people think these things. All right.
Yeah.
And I mean, and the thing about it is none of us are absolved. We think the way that we think about white people, and we walk into a room and we won't say it, but we believe it. But we can still shake these people's hands and be cordial with them and accord them decency and talk to them and treat them respectfully. But we'll go home and we'll be talking about white people till the sun comes up. They do that too, is my point. We're not the only ones who do that.
Correct.
They do it too. So just get used to it. Stop thinking that you're the only one who does that, and stop thinking that because you're an aggrieved party that you somehow have the right to be able to do it and it be considered proper. Everybody's doing it, not just you.
Yeah, and a little anecdotal story. Same thing with me. I was working at I was doing like maintenance over the summer, and it was a white dude I was real cool with, man. You know, invited me fishing and all that stuff. You know how that go. And I'm like, nah, you know, I'm all right, you know. But at the same time, man, we was kicking it all the time, man, every day, man. Real funny dude. And he had said the same thing as far as black women. He's like, I've had all kinds, man, but I've never had a black girl before. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know why you need to tell me this, but we'll go on. He's like, I don't know, man. It's just, I just never really stepped to a sister before. I don't think I can do it, man. I'm like, okay, well, teach their own, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's your thing. I think it's kind of one of those things. You just got to get it off their chest kind of thing. I don't know what they're doing, if they're just gauging me as a person to see if I'll get offended, or I don't know what that thing is that they feel like they got to let me know about that, but they do it. And but yeah, I wasn't offended by that. I was more like, why are you telling me? I don't go around telling people stuff like that. But yeah, man, I treat it the same way in the context of, yeah, man, people be talking. And people like to say like how Hispanic people are racist, on their radio shows and their stuff, like when they talk about black people, but you dap them up and they'll do all this type of stuff, and this is what people do. So but for whatever reason, people felt like they can air that out on Twitter, which is why a lot of people get outed later. So whether it's racism, homophobia, or XYZ, people put it out there on Twitter. And whenever somebody reaches a level of, hey, I don't like what you got going on right now, they just search the tweets. And sure enough, they're going to say something either homophobic, racist, sexist, and then they're going to try to get canceled over it. And so, yeah, man, I think this is just whatever talk. If this is what drove you over the edge with Rory, so be it. But me personally, for better or for worse, I assume levels of conversation like that happen anyway. So when it's outed, it's going, okay, but what did he really say though? That, whatever, man. So, and to your point of hip hop being commodified, yeah, and that's a thing that a lot of people gonna have to. That's not a popular opinion. Even though you believe it's objectively true, they're gonna say it's your opinion. but that's a big thing that people got to get over, because that's an inception, is that we are hip hop and we're not.
Yeah.
So yeah, well said.
Yeah. It just is, everybody operates with a certain level of preconceived racial bias. Now you can choose to be offended by it, or you can just choose to understand that everyone's doing this. It's one
Correct.
of the other, clearly.
Correct.
Now I choose to just understand everybody does this. I choose to not be offended, and rather I give myself the peace of mind of knowing everyone does this, myself included. So my whole thing is, like, I take a step back and I say to myself, I've been in a house with my family, during family gatherings, and racial conversations will come up, and it's like, okay, let's start the stopwatch now, because for the next 30 to 45 minutes, let's talk about white people portion of the proceedings will ensue. And it is what it is. I would imagine that at some point, when white people are gathering and doing their thing, I would imagine similar things happen. I would imagine similar things happen. So I guess you can be upset because he just tweeted this as opposed to keeping it to himself. But if you ask me, I'd rather hear somebody do it than to have to speculate whether it's in there or not, even though I operate under the assumption that it is by default. But you can choose to be offended by it, or just understand everyone does this, because everyone does this. Trust me.
Yeah, what's that Chappelle joke, man, when he was hanging out with the Native Americans, and then saying he did the whole thing, and he said the small ones are 10, those right there 35, the big one's 50. And that's a funny joke. It's a funny joke. So if it's a situation where people are behind closed doors and they're telling jokes amongst their people, man, which everybody does in every culture against other people's culture, it is what it is, man. People, so long as it's not getting racist and violent, people just got stuff to say, man. Let the people just talk, man. But yeah, man, I agree with you, bro. It's water off my back, bro. I ain't gonna let this bother me. So
Yeah.
I just go ahead and move on.
Yeah, it's because he's in hip hop. But again, I think people just need to get over that. Like,
Agreed.
separate yourself from the idea that hip hop belongs to any one particular community or culture. It's a ubiquitous thing that belongs to everybody. It's a commercial product.
Yep, hip hop is owned by the people who distribute it, and they don't look like us. So
Yeah, that's correct.
think about that.
Yes. Moving right along, we are going to talk about Pharrell, discussing his thoughts on politics. Needless to say, Pharrell isn't a fan of politics. He doesn't engage with it. He believes it's a magic trick, and he also believes that if you align with one particular political party or the other, that you are contributing to divisiveness. So yeah, Pharrell isn't necessarily a fan of politics. He actually hates it. He shies away from it at all costs. This says Pharrell faces backlash after explaining his hatred for politics. Pharrell says that he hates politics and that supporting either party is supporting division. He shared his thoughts during the 5th annual Black Ambition Demo Day at Sacred Space Miami on Friday. At the event, he was presented with the key to the city. When the Neighborhood Talk posted a clip of Pharrell's comments on Instagram, debate ensued. He ain't wrong. Neither side is truly for the people. They're both paid by the same people that lobby against us. If the people want change, we have to change it. Another countered, once someone say they hate politics, that tells me everything I need to know for real. One more added, why do people talk when they are so...
God damn.
I know that was very intrusive.
Oh my God.
That was a very aggressive, intrusive ad. And I assure you my pop-up blocker is on too. Okay, so where did I leave off? Oh, one more added. Why do people talk when they're so out of touch? Stop talking about something you're not fully educated in, Jesus.
Oh, wow.
It's not the first time Pharrell has expanded on why he tends to abstain from talking politics. Back in 2024, he said that he doesn't do politics while speaking with the Hollywood Reporter. He said at the time, there are celebrities that I respect that have an opinion, but not all of them. I'm one of them people who says, what the heck, shut up, nobody asked you. When people get out there and they get self-righteous and they roll up their sleeves and stuff, and they are out there walking around with a placard, shut up. So no, I would rather stay out of the way. And obviously, I'm going to vote how I'm going to vote. I care about my people and I care about the country, but I feel there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and I'm really about the action. So here's Pharrell at this event in which he talks about his aversion to politics.
As we look at what's going on in the current political climate, I'm just saying I want to turn everybody off. I hate politics. Like, despise them. It's a magic trick that it's not real. I don't believe in either side. So I think when you pick a side, you are only, you are inadvertently supporting division. Yeah, it's not a popular point of view, but I just gotta say, like, think about it. The wells are drying up, and then, okay, now the diversity's off the table, now equity's off the table, now inclusion's off the table. So that makes me ask myself, okay, so how do we survive? Well, are there Black people here tonight? Yeah. And in your heart, do you think for what it is that you do and who you are, do you think you're the best? Okay, so do you want the job because you're Black or because you're the best? Do you want someone to support your startup because you're Black or because you're the best? Right, so I think now for me, it's about us having the best ambition. That's the reason why you should support these businesses. Yes, they happen to be Black and brown, but it should be based on the thesis that we're the best, not because we are a total shade of a skin color. That's a point of view that I have now that I'm resting on. And if diversity, equity, and inclusion ever comes back in style, cool. But in the meantime, I'm going to focus on being the best because I can bank on that. Because that's what's going to get you the position. Where, I don't want you to give me anything. I want you to panic and not let me out the room because I'm the best.
All right, so those are his thoughts on that. So what did you think of that?
Fair take, I guess. I'm really confused. I don't think it's necessarily his stance on politics. It might have been that DEI stuff that he was talking about that got people in a bunch there, because there's a lot of people that are politically neutral. But his take there on DEI says why he may not be neutral to some people. So I think that some of his backlash may have been coming from his overall statement, not so much of his political stance. But his take on politics is, I do believe it's a parlor trick. It's deceptive. I do believe that both sides are controlled, and therefore they're not necessarily looking out for the best interests of the people. And when it comes to the DEI stuff, I mean, that's from the angle in which he was talking about it, that that he just be the best, and it's just like, oh, okay, but the people that the detractors of what he's saying there is that the people that are going to ultimately be doing the hiring could know that you're the best, but don't want to hire you because they don't have to or want to, because of how you look. Not everybody is hiring people on the contents of their character. So I'm sure that's probably why that he got some backlash there. But overall, I agree with his stance that striving for excellence is the key, and not being so wrapped up in politics is also imperative. So I'm actually surprised to hear him say that. The political aspect. I could have sworn he was a blue man. I could have sworn I seen him at blue stuff, hanging out with blue people. So I guess over the years or whatever, he's evolved and he doesn't associate with that anymore because he doesn't feel like he has to, or he's grown, or whatever the case may be. But I'm a little surprised that he said that because of his previous affiliations that I thought he had. But when you look at him, his aesthetics and stuff like that, he comes off as a free-spirited man who, of course, wouldn't agree with any political ideologies. So overall, I think that's his opinion, that he's entitled to it, that people don't have to sign up for these parties if they don't choose to. And and to get backlash and tell him to educate himself more on his political stance, to me, is humorous. I think this is another situation of selective outrage. Something came across their feed and they didn't like what they heard. So all of a sudden, it's backlash season. Me personally, I feel as though this is his opinion. Whether he's right or he's wrong in your worldview, I don't know if it constitutes backlash when it comes to the statement that he made. But what are your thoughts, man, on Pharrell voicing his opinion on politics, basically saying that, hey, man, if you go for either one of them, you're going for divisiveness? What are your thoughts, man?
I'm inclined to agree that the objection to his comments stem from him being indifferent towards the prioritization of DEI. I think his stance therein with DEI is probably what has people riled up the most.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, personally, me, when it comes to this DEI stuff, I'm also indifferent towards it. So I guess you can hate me too.
Yeah.
But overall, I think his indifference towards politics is warranted, and I see the same thing. Unfortunately, politics have become, because of the way that politics is currently run, particularly in this country. I can't speak to how it's run in other countries, but in this particular country, because of the way it's run, people have been forced into buckets of being single issue voters, which is completely opposed to the spirit of the way the political process is supposed to work. The idea is to go with whatever represents the greatest amalgamation of all of your various sensibilities and things that you care about. But these days, everything is single issue. And so what ends up happening is people who choose to remain involved in the political process via voting and all that kind of stuff, they're forced to pick a single issue that they care about the most. And whichever candidate, whichever candidate aligns most closely with that single issue is where people are going to, you know, afford their allegiances, regardless of whether every other aspect of that person's individual politics is complete sharp. That doesn't matter. All that matters is the single issue that you care about, that you've chosen to be active when it comes to politics, is aligned with this person. So if what you care about, for example, is you know, women's right to choose, you know, pro choice or whatever, if that's the single issue upon which you've chosen to participate in this process, then as long as that candidate is pro-choice, you're going to ride with them regardless of how they feel about the economy or equity or all of that other stuff, regardless of how they feel about that, regardless of how they feel about war, regardless of how they feel about the right to bear arms, guns, regardless of how they feel about taxation, regardless of how they feel about all those other equally important things. Because you're a single issue voter and you care about pro-choice, you're going to rock with this person, even if all the rest of their politics suck. And the vast majority of people have been forcefully sequestered into those various buckets because of the way that politics is oriented. So I do think that it has become largely a dog and pony show as a result of that dynamic. And I don't know if that's the perspective that he is speaking at it from, but regardless, I agree with him that it is ridiculous and it's a clown fiesta at this point. And it's become a matter of a single. Everybody these days, for the most part, not everybody, but most people are single issue voters because of the stark polarization that has beset modern American politics. You know, if all you care about is voting for the candidate who's more likely than not to institute policy that's going to grow your crypto portfolio, then that person can be crap with all the rest of the politics, but you're going to rock with that because you want to grow your crypto portfolio. And that's what most people do. So politics does suck. It is a joke, and it is a dog and pony show. It's a complete sham and mockery, and it's no wonder that we're a laughing stock to the global community when it comes to the political process. And you know, politics as a vehicle is largely run by corporations who are paying these puppets. So you know, a candidate's going to do whatever they need to do to secure Zuckerberg's funding or Bezos's funding or Elon Musk's funding because they got billions upon billions of dollars and you want that money. So before you serve the people, you're going to serve those individuals.
Yep.
And anyone who is aware of this is right in feeling completely apathetic toward the entire process. So if he is operating on that level of insight, then I totally get where he's coming from. But even if he's not, I agree with the general idea that it's a clown fiesta. I would rather spend 3 hours at the circus, the actual circus, than to go to a polling booth at this point for 45 minutes.
Barnum and Bailey, bro. I mean, I agree, dog. You know what I'm saying? American Soul Circus. Remember that, bro? They used to advertise that all the time on 99
Universal Circus.
Yeah, Universal Circus. I never went, bro. I don't think I've ever went, man.
I went once.
Okay. Hey, shout out to bro on that ad too, man. He used to be getting down, bro. But yeah, to piggyback off your point, man, and to drill in the aspect of, because you nailed the political part, and even getting into the DEI portion of his argument is that, okay, they took it away. Now what? You going to just sit around and complain or be the best at what you do? So you have a choice here to be playing victim or bossing up and putting yourself in position regardless of who's in office or whatever else is going on. And that's another thing that's also happened with this binary system. You either got to go with those people or those people. You know what I'm saying? And most likely they're not going to be agreeing with an overall political ideology set as you was talking about, because as you mentioned, they're on extremes. So whoever's in office, whether it's the person you voted for or not, they're most likely not going to be going for stuff that you need to do to get your life going. And for you to sit down and wait for the president to change your life, you got this whole process wrong. So whoever's in office, whether they're the person that you want or the person that you don't want, you need to be focused on self-improvement and being the best at whatever it is that you do, regardless. So if there's a policy out there that's pretty much acting like food stamps, gets removed, are you going to just sit there and cry and complain in some dungeon? Or are you going to boss up and make sure that you don't allow somebody else to control your life? So I'm with him with all of it. It just, I'm surprised that he said this. I thought he was bought and paid for, which in many respects he is. But this was still a take that I can stand behind that. I agree with him, man. So yeah, man, I don't get down with this political system as well. I have my thoughts and opinions on how this stuff is run, and I checked out a decade ago or more, and so since I realized I put things in my hands, and to speak on a conversation that we had about the snaps and stuff is that I don't like nobody controlling my destiny and my worldview or none of that. And I used to bank on whoever's in office is gonna change the climate of the country. And they can change the climate could change all at once. But if I'm stocked up with ponchos, umbrellas, fans if it get hot, the fans with mist in it if it gets really hot, and I got all this stuff in my toolbox, then I don't care how the weather gets. I'm going to be straight regardless of who's in office. So long as that's your mindset, bro, then at that point, these politicians and whatever games they decide to play wouldn't sway you and change how you wake up every day. Because I'm telling you right now, some people are in hell since Orange Man's been in there, and none of their personal circumstances have changed outside of who got elected. But everything is going to be their person's fault because of how they view the world. So yeah, man, you take control of your own mind, because that's what it is. Like he said, it's a trick. And if you buy into it, then you're subject to whatever tricks that these people are playing. So I'm with Pharrell on this one, rare one, Eclipse Pharrell collab on this part for us.
Yeah, it's just, as someone who's currently in the process of trying to get their real estate license and eventually become a realtor.
That's right.
Whether Trump is the president or whether there's a Democrat who's the president, nothing's stopping me from doing that. Whoever's there, whoever's up there and they're out there finagling around with this politics, it's not stopping me from getting this license. And once I'm licensed, I'm going to be able to earn money in the real estate business. Nothing's going to stop me from being able to do that. So it's one of those situations where you have to maintain the appropriate amount of balance and perspective with respect to how much you allow these things to infiltrate and control your own individual agency.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people are really they're so preoccupied with the politics that they forget to look around and say, hey man, there's stuff that I can be doing here. I don't care, bro. I don't care. And I get it. People get real passionate and riled up about this stuff. And I get it. There are legit policy things that matter with things that people care about,
for sure.
like guns and like abortion and all of that stuff. There are policies which affect the availability or lack thereof of things like that. And so who wins these various races does matter when it comes to that. But I think you would agree with this. The vast majority of people who are so turned off or rather who are so charged up by the political process are people who are dissatisfied with their own personal circumstances.
Yes.
Which is largely economical.
Yes.
And so if you're in that boat, you have to change that instead of being so charged up about what happens with politics. And I'm not trying to I am not suggesting that people are supposed to be apolitical. It's just about taking inventory on what's important. And having the right perspective, because I'm telling y'all right now, this stuff is a clown fiesta straight up dog and pony show.
Unbelievable.
And I'm serious. Like I said before, I'd rather spend 3 hours at the actual circus at this point than to spend 45 minutes in a voting booth, except for the local elections. The local elections do still matter because it's like, nah, you're not going to be doing this stuff in my neighborhood, or, you're not putting a smoke shop on every corner in my neighborhood. There are certain things it's like, okay, I'm going to turn out for the local elections. But when it comes to this national election stuff and just being so turned off by people like, who's currently in office because you just are offended because he's an abrasive, jerk off, racist person, like, go get an apprenticeship, go get yourself a license, go, become an electrician, be a welder. You know what I'm saying? Like, get into something, get into stuff, nothing's stopping you from doing that. It doesn't matter who's up there. They're not stopping you from doing it.
Yep. Hey, agreed, man. So, hey, let us know down in the comment section, guys. You guys agree with Pharrell and us. We're just, as you mentioned, bro, apolitical. I'm not signing up for any of these people. Do you think we tripping, or you feel like as though we need to educate ourselves more, as the comment section said? Let us know, please. Love to hear your thoughts.
And these people don't care about this. They just want to grow their crypto. They want to get more crypto, more deregulation, more sports betting. You give them that, and they'll vote for whoever. People don't care.
Sports betting.
We round things out talking about hip hop's #1 name dropper.
Oh my God, bro, it's disgusting.
The guy who made name dropping an actual rap style, The Game.
Unbelievable.
The Game was on this new platform, this new show that's hosted by Stomp's very own Kirk Franklin, where I guess he gathers a lot of men around to become vulnerable and talk about a lot of personal stuff.
Yeah, vulnerable.
I guess that looks to be the point of this thing.
That's a good word.
And The Game was on I guess the most recent episode of this show, and they got into the talking about, I guess, women and whatnot or whatever. And Game reflected on how he feels some type of way about how he approached certain relationships with women without the purest of intentions, and now he feels some sort of guilt or remorse because of the way that he conducted himself, or the way that he still continues to conduct himself. So this says The Game reflects on having no pure intentions when dating. It was an exchange. The Game opened up about his past relationships, expressing regret for his intentions, or rather lack thereof, while joined by Snoop Dogg, Matt Barnes, Dion Cole, and Big Boy for the November 16th episode of Kirk Franklin's Den of Kings. The rapper discussed his guilt over leading women on. The father of 4 was once engaged to reality TV personality Tiffany Cambridge, the mother of 2 of The Game's children, and welcomed his youngest child, Blaze Taylor, with podcaster Shanice Hairston last December. Around the 26-minute mark of the podcast below, Franklin questioned whether women have an awareness of the power they hold when encountering a man's vulnerability. So I'm going to skip the quotes because we're going to play a little clip. The rapper, 45, added that he's not sleeping good after these transactional encounters. Before the birth of his child with Hairston, 32, last August, the rapper contemplated how he'll be having a different parenting experience as a middle-aged man. I'm thinking about it in terms of years, he said. I'm 44. When my new child is 21, I'll be 65, he said on podcast Tacos and Shawarma. So we'll go ahead and get out of this, and we'll actually allow Mr. Game to speak for himself. And thankfully, this is just a normal conversation, so there's no name drops in this. but here's The Game reflecting on how he feels bad because of his lack of pure intentions with women.
Sometimes, like when I was in my 20s and my 30s, it was just an exchange. You know what I'm saying? It was, hey, I'm giving you this, we having our moment, and then I'm gonna get back to my life, you get back to yours. No emotions because you're young. Everybody got their whole life ahead of them. When you get in your 40s, man, you start feeling like you womanized, and I'm taking emotions home with me, or she's taking emotions out the door with her if you are, living that type of lifestyle. And I'm like not sleeping. good after that because I feel like I had no pure intentions for this person, and this person is also late, 30s or mid 30s, and they got a life, and so like when you got when you're young and you're dealing with a young woman, ain't nobody tripping. It's all good. But when you're older and you know that woman has trauma from her past relationship and all of that, and dinner is cool, going out on a date is cool, but then once you start getting intimate with people and you know for sure that they are invested in you even a little bit, and you have no, you ain't talking to this person after tomorrow, man. You carry like you
start feeling it. Shit you didn't care about before, or feelings you never even thought or worried about. It's crazy.
And then we don't. And then guess what? We don't even talk. We don't have nobody to talk to that about. So we got a lot.
And I get mad. I'm getting mad.
Talk to?
Yeah.
Who can you be vulnerable with?
Well, if I just took advantage of someone's emotions, right? And Matt is my boy, and he did the same thing a week ago. We ain't talking about that. We like, what's up, bro?
All right. So is this maturity on the game's part?
He picked the wrong place to have this session. But of course, we're dealing with the game, and he's using the internet as his couch. I'm not going for. I mean, it's true. Will this change his behaviors?
No,
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think he loved the game. No pun intended. and also ironic that Sir Matt Barnes was on the panel sitting there. That's so true. Oh yeah. Now I don't know if you caught wind of this. I even forgot this was a thing. I should have made it a during topic. All right, but Matt Barnes is out here giving a story time.
Yes, I'm aware. Yeah,
about how he got extorted.
Yes,
for $60K.
Yeah.
Paying a woman that he's claiming he never slept with. Well, why are you paying her, bro? Why are you paying her? She was going to tell my wife why y'all were broken up. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, what was she going to tell her? You never met her.
Come on, bro. I'm going for this. You trying to gaslight the internet? I'm not going for this. So of course he's on the panel talking about, that's deep. Yeah, I get it. You a fraudulent dude, bro. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's true what he said though. The game, in the context of, when you young dog, you just trying to get it how you live, bro. As they said in Coming to America, just sowing your royal oats. And you're just out here just trying to do your thing, bro. Just figuring out life, right? But then, yeah, when you hit your 30s, bro, you know what I'm saying? There's something that should hopefully click in your brain. that like, hey, this ain't what life about. Like, I might need to get a family rolling, get life going, and not be spending it with these charlatans. Now, me personally, bro, mine was more of a, hand to hand in the club at a bar, type situation where I'm bringing that home, which you shouldn't. But the game, he was dealing with the situation where he's literally dealing with workers. So as it was an exchange, yeah, you paying for box, which is crazy, right? You do all of this stuff. You become a celebrity. You sacrifice so many things to be this person of high status, and you still end up turning around paying for box.
They're all doing it.
It's ridiculous.
They're all doing it.
It's ridiculous. Oh, I just pay them so they get out the door. No, that's what lower level people have to do. They gotta pay people to get out the door. You're a celebrity. They should know you're already walking out of the door. What are you talking about, bro? These guys are strange, man. The little things that they get into is baffling to me. But I'm not surprised the game found himself in that rut. And like I was saying, it is very true on me on a lower level stuff. I'm not saying I'm some, some pimp Don Juan, out here. I was a regular dude, bro, just out here just trying to live life. And I'm out here just dealing with girls that's fast. And as I'm dealing with them, there was this thing where it was a cognitive dissonance I was experiencing. I was like, wait, I'm the guy. I smashed and I left, or I smashed and she left. In either context, somebody's gone. I should feel really good about this. And I didn't. I felt empty. in more ways than one. I felt empty. And I was like, hey, what's going on here? You know, I'm the man. I'm supposed to feel good about this. But I felt like those girls were walking out with something that belonged to me. So at that point, after doing that enough, I was like, hey, this isn't cool. And then I started looking around for other people that were living like that. They weren't having fun either. As many stories as they can tell, they might have a smile on their face at that point, but they're not having fun. You can tell. And I've also had these moments where I had long-term relationships and I'm friends with dudes that's in the field. And they would look at me like I had it. Like, hey, you got it. You got a solid girl at the crib. I'm like, bro, but you got a Rolodex, bro. You got a girl every day of the week. Like, you living life. And they were trying to let me know that, hey, man, yeah, I'm out here and I'm doing all this stuff, bro, but there's no peace in this. You come home to peace, theoretically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it took me a while to really register in my brain that it's both men and women that lose something when they live a life like that. It's only made to seem like women are losing a piece of themselves when they live a fast life, but men do too. And for somebody that's living life like the game, all right, who's basically a male sex worker himself, all right, he should be happy. But yet he's sitting around a room with a whole bunch of suspicious men crying on the internet, saying that piece of him walks out of the door. So if you guys don't think that this is real, that, hey man, maybe you should slow down out here. Maybe the game's testimony should help you realize that it's not just women that lose a piece of themselves when they give themselves away for free like that, even if you're paying for it. But what are your thoughts, man, on the game being vulnerable in front of Kirk Franklin and Matt Barnes, basically saying that, hey, me living that fast lifestyle when I was in my 20s and my 30s, it was tough for him. What are your thoughts, man?
I don't know anything about the game's personal life, so I'm not going to speak on him as if I know how he's currently living. But I will say that those talking points are very similar to talking points that I have heard spoken by many other men that I've encountered throughout my life who have an inability to reconcile who they are with who they really want to be. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of us are cursed with this double life where we romanticize the idea of being a family man and being a one-woman guy and building a foundation and raising a family. But in terms of our day-to-day actions, we are doing nothing to secure that. Mm-hmm. And in lieu of doing nothing to secure that, we will at times lament via ongoing conversation after ongoing conversation why we have an inability to reconcile that difference. See, the game is having his armchair moment on this show, mm-hmm. but I've had homeboys who have their armchair moment talking to me about this directly. Mm-hmm. So they're not getting on social media doing it, and they're not getting on a podcast and doing it, but we're having multiple conversations over and over again ad nauseum, literally talking about the same thing over and over again, having the same conversations repeatedly, because it's a momentary, moment of clarity where it's like, man, I want to meet a good chick who can hold it down, and I want to have kids, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. 3 hours later, we trying to make plans to figure out what time we're gonna leave to go to the club. So
the good old days.
Yeah. So it's this ongoing internal battle, in which we struggle with how to best reconcile that. And in my personal experience, I didn't gain the wherewithal to be able to effectively make that reconciliation while hanging around people who did the things that made me not able to confront said lack of reconciliation.
Mhm.
So like I'm not gonna be able to reconcile this and make inroads to doing things the way that I would like to do, the way that I romanticize doing them, if I'm hanging around guys who are trying to be in the streets 24/7. It's just not going to work. So at least for me, I'll speak for myself. I can't speak for everybody else. But speaking for myself, it was easier for me to reach that maturation point when I was hanging around other men who had themselves reached that maturation point.
Mhm.
I was unable to do it by myself. I couldn't do it by myself, nor could I do it hanging out with guys who were always in the streets. If all my friends were in the streets, I was gonna be in the streets too.
Yep.
And if I was alone and left to my own devices, I was just gonna not do anything. I was gonna be inactive. But if I was around other men who were comfortable entering that phase of their life, then I saw proof of concept and it was easier for me to reconcile. Oh, there is happiness in doing it this way. But if you're not going to surround yourself with that kind of company, it's going to be very difficult for you to figure that out.
Mhm.
And when it comes to the game, he's still in the game, like you said.
Yeah,
He's
bro.
still a rapper.
Yes, he is.
He's
Very
still
much.
he's still a rapper. He's still a hip hop guy. So he sounds no different than a couple of my homeboys who liked being in the game all week long. But every now and again, come Sunday or Monday, we're gonna have another 1 or 2 hour conversation talking about how he's struggling because he wants to have a girlfriend. It's the same thing.
Mhm.
So he's, in my estimation, I don't know that he'll figure it out because I kind of feel like hip hop is one of those things. And we had a conversation. I forget the subject that we were talking about, but we were basically talking about the aging process juxtaposed to hip hop
Mhm.
and how we are going to see rappers who continue to rap because hip hop is still, in the grand scheme of things, a relatively new thing. It's
Mhm.
like 40 years old at this point or whatever.
Mhm.
So like as hip hop continues to get as old as country music or rock and roll or rhythm and blues, as hip hop continues to age, you're going to start seeing 50, 60, 70, 80-year-old rappers still talking like this
Yep.
because they're maturing with the culture. And we're going to look at the fact that you're going to, like, they're going to be doing these things even at an advanced age
Mhm.
because unless they mature out of it, they're not going anywhere. So as hip hop ages, so will they, and so will the hip hop lifestyle, hip hop culture, the hip hop mentality, the hip hop way of doing things. So he's still in the game as a hip hop guy, right? No pun intended. And so because of that, I would imagine the lack of reconciliation that he is clearly struggling to make is going to persist well into his 50s and 60s.
Yes.
Now maybe he can figure it out, maybe he can figure it out, but the odds are that he won't. The likelihood is that he will not. But he can still armchair psychology this thing and talk like that, as most of us do. Because from time to time we experience those slight moments of clarity where it's like, man, I kind of want to do this, but then you feel compelled once that's over to continue doing what you've been doing.
Go back outside. Yeah, man. Hey, outside has its appeal, man. That's why so many people get trapped out there. You know what I'm saying? So, some people actually, go indoors, and start fighting and clawing to get back out. Because whatever makes them go back out Saturday night never left. They thought they wanted to slow down. And what people got to realize, man, is they got that bug, man. It's a certain feeling in the air that it's Friday night. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It gets you as soon as you wake up. If not, as soon as you go outside to go get something to eat or go get gas, you see other cars pulling up at the gas station. They going out. They playing their music loud, like everybody's about to go out tonight, and your ass is going inside. That at some point that starts to eat away at somebody that used to be outdoors themselves. You know what I'm saying? So it requires more than lip service for sure. But when you're in a position like somebody like the Game, for instance, his best route is the Neo route.
Yeah.
His best route is, you know, when you outside, sometimes you just want to come home to something. That's why you're always trying to take something home that night, you know. But when you outside, man, it's a cold game, you know, and you just want to come home to something that you know is waiting for you for real, you know, not the girl that said that she was going to be up and you texting her and she ain't answering. That means somebody else came over that night. You know, that's a cold life.
Yeah.
You tired of dealing with that. You want to have something of your own. Okay, for one, you ain't gonna meet her out there playing around them games. And two, man, you got to find it within you to slow down. But I'm gonna take it big side where, you know, what Game needs to do, and I'll bring it back to everyday common person. But the Game, you know, his solution is to live a Neo lifestyle, get you 3 or 4 mains. They all down for it because you're the Game, and you get to come home to that all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's your security, that's your home. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna do all this stuff. They'll do freak offs with you and everything that you're into. You know what I'm saying? Because you know he's into that. So you know, you don't need to know the Game to know that, dog. So you know that I think that's a solution for him. But being a one-woman man, that's not him. You know, I don't know him personally, but I've heard enough of his name dropping to have an idea where this man's coming from. Okay, so for the Game, the average everyday dude, you know, it's you know, you got to be a lot more practical. And for one, you got to change where you fish. You know, you got to change your location, because if you're used to bringing women home from a certain type of environment, and those always end up crashing out on you, you got to switch that up and get you somebody, as we like to talk about, off the grid or just not in that loop of stuff, because they bring a certain presence with them that's going to calm you down. And then once you actually get that, you, the person, have to calm that. You have to calm down. Because I'm telling you, those triggers of wanting to go outdoors aren't going to go anywhere. So, like I mentioned, like that atmosphere that you feel, it's Friday, Saturday nights, you always end up doing something like this. Like, you know, what am I going to do? Like, oh, I'll just take my girl to the bar. Don't take her to the field. Sit down and watch a Netflix movie. It's stupid. I can guarantee you, those nights where it was really cold, the only thing you wanted to do was cake up with a girl and watch a Netflix movie that you're not interested in, because you know you're gonna splack later anyway. Stay in a house and be comfortable with being bored. Sit your down. It's easier said than done. So, but I'm saying that it's possible, because if you can get girls at the club and at the bar, you can get them at the grocery store or the library. You know what I'm saying? You know, you can get her in public too. So all in all, I'm with you, bro. Like, people pay lip service to that, and when they're confronted with it, some of them chase the good women out the door because they got that bug. You have to acknowledge you got that bug, and you have to work on that. Else you're gonna be outside, 44 years old, like the Game, sitting in front of Kurt Franklin and Matt Barnes and Big Boy. What a strange group of people. I never want to be in a group with those dudes, but yeah, man. A cautionary tale for the Game. I'll say that. Cautionary tale.
Yeah, I know for me, the best way to be able to do that is to just surround yourself with men who do that.
Yes.
Because if you don't and you're just left to your own devices, very rarely can we figure stuff out like this on our own.
Yes.
So I know for me, seeing other guys around me doing it that way was tremendously helpful. Honestly.
Yes.
And they weren't doing it begrudgingly. They were truly comfortable in it, and they were happy and content.
Yes.
You know, not necessarily hanging around a guy who's with a chick, but he would rather be outside. It's like, no, like guys who actually enjoy doing this thing.
Yeah,
you know
yes.
Like that was tremendously helpful. But if birds of a feather really do flock together, and if you're going to be around other guys who are in the streets, you're not going anywhere. You're gonna be right there with them. So,
hey man,
yeah,
it's cold out there, y'all. I'm telling you.
dog. So, what's wrong with Big Boy? He's just a radio guy. What's wrong with Big
He's
Boy?
strange, man. He's strange, man. Like, I'm not, put it this way, I'm not surprised they all linked up.
Well,
they all strange dudes.
Kirk Franklin, I guess he's trying to be a shepherd for the black man. I guess
you know, he's trying to give back and
yeah.
You know, just show black men how to be vulnerable in
right
public spaces. Man, get your cap in the hell out of here. The one person that I was like, Snoop's in there. I don't know what Snoop's doing in there, but all the other guys belong in that circle. A strange group of men, man.
Oh man, hey y'all. That was good stuff. We are out of here. The JV Wins Dogon SS, another fantastic stream is in the books. As always, check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Conapproach, CONAPPROACH. Check me out on Instagram at JV Wins WINS. Subscribe to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the commentary in this or any other video. Let us know where we went right or wrong, because we are certainly not here to be agreed upon. We are just here to generate some interesting conversations. My Miami Heat are playing some very competitive basketball, even though there is a definite ceiling on what they're capable of. I nevertheless appreciate the effort and the will to compete on a night in and night out basis. Yes. So as I always like to say, man, don't be a group thinker. Have a mind of your own. Think for yourself. And until next time, we are very much appreciative of your fellowship, and we look forward to seeing you again on the next stream.
Yes, sir. Hey, and the name is Dogon SS, by the way. Skr. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS, on YouTube, DraftKings, MySpace, FanDuel. Hey, man, I be gambling too, y'all. Hey, if there's a social media platform, Dogon_SS is out there. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow, and all that good jazz. And as I say every week, guys, we greatly appreciate you guys for watching the video. And not only that, sharing it, okay? Liking and consciously leaving comments. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, all right? So we greatly appreciate you guys for watching and participating, because you're the ones that keep us coming back for more. We do this every Tuesday night, guys. All right, and as I say every week, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player, and don't let anybody get you off your pivot. So until the next episode, ladies and gentlemen, which is next week, got more rings than Robert Ory, and we'll catch y'all next time. Chill.
That's right. We'll see y'all later. Shouts out to King Hercules on the chat. Appreciate you joining the community, brother. And we'll see you later. Peace.
Hey, man, go Canes, bro. Hey, we 10-2, bro. We going 10-2, dog.